Welcome back to Dabbling Dads with your host Kyle and Tyler, here to dabble into just about anything. You can find us everywhere using the hashtag Dabbling Dads. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoy.
So, all that aside, video games, you said you had Nintendo Power, top 100 games.
Yeah, let's pull that out. Let's do Nintendo Power
So
right
first
now.
things first, before we get into actual video games, we did a podcast of video games to movies. And what we both agreed upon, but we thought it would be a series, and I brought this game out just because I listened.
Right.
This is Ocarina of Time of N64, which I know is one of your favorite games.
It
Zelda.
is, absolutely.
And Zelda in general is one of your favorite games, and it's really Link. But in saying that, we agreed that we feel like if you did a season correctly of Zelda, you could make a lot of seasons if you did the first season correctly.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
should the first season be a Link to the Past?
Which is
so then he can go anywhere in the rest of the season.
I agree. So Link to the Past is my favorite game of
Super
all time.
Nintendo.
That Super Nintendo that I
Incredible
brought
game.
that with me or whatever that's one of the
You brought a Super Nintendo. So how many Super Nintendos do you have?
So
It's right here.
The mini Super Nintendo I brought.
yeah.
So two of my favorite games of all time, two of my top 5 games. Number one game is Link to the Past, my favorite game of all time.
Link to the Past, your favorite game of all time, right?
Favorite game of all time.
Okay. I could not get. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I have Nintendo Power.
It's also Tyler Myers, who we talked about earlier, his favorite game of all time.
The earliest
All time.
Nintendo Power I have is 69. I look up because I have a index. I have a lot of fucking Nintendo Powers.
Right.
So, but the earliest one I have is 69, and A Link to the Past is actually the cover of
So that's old.
64.
What game did that come out? I'm going to look
It came
it up.
out in 64.
80s.
It was Nintendo Power 64. I do not have that Nintendo Power.
No, we're not talking about the gold cartridge game that came out for Nintendo.
No, that's
We're
The
talking about
Legend of Zelda.
The first game,
It was episode 64 on Nintendo Power.
for
I do not have it.
the SNES.
Correct, Super Nintendo game.
Right. So
A Link to the Past.
Link to the Past is my favorite game, and actually, believe it or not, when we went through my top 10, out of all the game systems in my top 10, SNES is number 1 for all my games of all time.
Well,
Now-
Donkey Kong, which I know you brought up,
Yes.
you loved, and I'll go ahead and show everybody this. I actually have the player's guides. For
91.
all
91
the
is A Link to the
If
Past.
you want to just have some nostalgic
No,
moment.
wait, I was born in 88.
You were
so
born in 88, so
there.
you were 3 when it actually came
my
out.
dad was heavy into the game, and he bought the original Nintendo, had the Atari, we got into it.
I have
But Ocarina of Time is also a top 5 game for me. So the Zelda
Which is the
series
one he
is
has up here.
represented
Yeah.
2 times.
So those
two
are
times
my-
in my top 5. That game and Zelda the Past are 2 of my top games of all time. Now,
So this right here is the official player's guide of the Ocarina of
dude,
Time.
I have this at my house.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
exactly. So,
So-
Trey White gave me this. I don't know if y'all know.
I
who
know
that is
Trey
or
White.
not.
Good friends with Jonathan Ramey, who
Really
we just
smart,
talked about. Yes.
and then he gave me
His
this.
little brother's Josh
and
White.
I actually was about to complete, and one of my questions.
Josh
for
White
you,
is
so you
Trey White is
let's
Josh
get
White's
back
older
to
brother.
the TV series of Zelda. Can it happen?
Yeah.
You agree like that? That's something you would watch.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Why
But I
is it
think
not-
they have to start
You're right.
here.
No.
I'm sorry. A Link to the Past is
so
where
then
they have to
So then
start.
the next season could be Ocarina of Time. The next
could be
season
any
Majora's
time.
Mask. Now, I will tell you. Now, Zelda. No, the first game I beat for my kids I bought. So I spoiled my kids. Both my kids have a Nintendo Switch. I went all out.
Don't blame me. I have
But
one
but
also.
anyways, they can handheld play their own things. But you talking about Breath of the Wild earlier or whatever.
Hey, and before
Dude,
you go deep on this,
I
I didn't call Mason out on this because we didn't get further on this. But Mason, and I heard a podcast of someone who paid someone to make their NBA 2K player better,
Right.
over time. And this is something that I wrote down over here that I wanted to bring back up about it. Believe it or not, you played Breath of the Wild, right?
Right, I beat it.
I beat it. I haven't completed it, but I beat
Now
it.
I've not 100% of the game, but I'm
And that's a
close.
question I want to bring up as we get further along.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, he started understanding that his brothers could not get to where he was, so
Right.
he had to play for them to do so. And I actually saw in one day he got all 4.
Right.
In one day,
Yeah.
he got all 4 of the ancient beasts or whatever, which is
Right.
impressive for someone who's 9 years old.
Which-
I wish I would have filmed it because
Which that was
it was crazy.
That was the first game that my oldest daughter came across like an
So
actual.
you have this, but
So-
you have
so-
the Donkey
Well,
Kong.
correction. First game I beat on the Switch was Luigi's Mansion. Not the Dark Moon. Luigi's Mansion 3 or whatever it is.
That is the last Nintendo Power I have. Is the first GameCube.
That means you beat the one on Switch?
Switch.
That's Luigi's Mansion 2.
So it's actually the third one. And the reason why I say that is because on the GameCube,
maybe it is 3. I
Luigi's
think
Mansion
you're
came
right.
out, and then Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon came out for the when Nintendo Wii U, which nobody owned because that fucking shit was
No,
awful.
I remember it though.
So then, but the third one, but
The only game that was worth the shit was Mario Bros. Deluxe on that game.
Absolutely.
You could play
Absolutely.
4-player Mario Bros. On that. But anyways.
Now, my top games. Now, one game I had in my top 5, if you guys listened to my podcast episode, was about a game called Secret of Mana. Secret of Mana is actually on this console. It is recognized as one of the best games RPG
Secret of Anna?
Secret of Mana.
Secret of Mana.
So what it is if you ever played a game called Chrono Trigger, it is basically an adaptation of that, but you can play co-op up to 2 people and you're third person fighting around. You can upgrade all your weapons and all that kind of shit. But Secret of Mana has actually come out with a PS4 re-release that has actually done really well. Anyways, all that aside, Secret of Mana, one of my top games. You guys talked about Metal Gear Solid. You talked about some of the other games. But me and Chad had talked about in the last episode. So the most recent game that I beat all the way through was God of War 4.
Okay.
One of the best games I've ever played. If you have a son, which both of you guys do, I do not have a son. I highly, highly, highly recommend playing this game because it is all about father-son development.
God
of War?
No, God of War 4.
Okay.
I didn't play any of the God. So Steven played all the God of War games. I never played those, but I played God of War 4 game. That game is fucking great. If you took Greek mythology with Mr. Norfleet,
Dude, I was going to bring up Northfleet about
Dude.
you because one of the things I remember about you is you and your brother were always around Mr. Northfleet.
Dude,
Dude, how many
always.
were you in when we painted the?
So y'all took
painted
French
the
with
titty
him
on
too?
the one on the
we
one
painted
painting.
all kinds of shit in that fucking portable, man.
Y'all took French?
Yeah,
Was that what he taught?
No, Latin.
Latin is what he
So
taught.
one day, Watch was in the class. I don't know if you remember this, but one day he just grabbed his fucking walk stick and after he came up with his Mr. Rogers t-shirts and all this other kind of bullshit, he's just like, we're going to go to Sonic, we're going to walk to Sonic, and then we're going to walk back. That's our class for the day.
He sang Chingy one time at the talent show.
Dude.
No, he did.
No,
he
hey,
did
Bob-
Lose Yourself by Eminem.
Right. And
Yeah.
hey, now speaking of
It was
which,
incredible.
Now TJ had asked me a little bit about both y'all because, and they did kind of ask me. I was like, I graduated with Tyler. You were great before me. But one thing I recommended about you was like we played high school soccer together. But both the, I don't think it was you. I think it was Michael Travis. I don't think you were part of this. But the fucking grill song.
No.
Talent show,
It
that
wasn't
was
Mike
you.
Travis. Mike Travis was supposed
Chase
to do it with me.
Osbrooks.
It was
Chase
Chase.
Osbrooks, that's who it
God
was,
rest
yeah.
his soul. He has passed away. I don't know if you knew that or
right,
not.
I did.
But
I did.
it was him and Jimmy Childers, who was also in their grade, who wrestled with me. You didn't know him because he wasn't a White
was
House
below
kid.
us.
He moved from Indiana
Wait,
his
are you talking
freshman
about Jimmy?
year.
No, Jimmy was the wrestling guy. I knew him because he lived over the next road.
That's who did it with
And
me.
his younger brother was crazy at wrestling.
We did.
You coached
So
wrestling, I know
the
you
reason
know him.
we did the song "Grills" by Paul Wall and Nelly in the talent show, and the main reason we did it is because I tried to do it my junior year. I tried to rap in the talent
Right.
show mainly because I didn't like Coach Shelton. That was the main reason. He was over the
That's
talent
so
show. I
fucking great.
hated that guy.
I didn't know that. That's great.
Regardless, I tried to do it my junior year. He wouldn't let
Now
me.
you're talking about Jonathan Shelton.
No. Coach
Coach
Shelton. He
Shelton,
was the
gotcha.
baseball assistant coach under Coach Mills. Regardless, my senior year, he's like, "Oh, the talent show is for people who are trying to display their talent."
Right.
And when I showed up with a true Reed Brooks, who played soccer with us, also his name is now Jason Brooks. He's in like 3 bands in Murfreesboro.
Now, believe it or not, I actually had this on film somewhere, and I watched it again. So you had the verse where you're talking about grill looking like a Fruit Loops box. Mm-hmm. And I forget what part it was, but I thought that was fucking great. And when we were in our freshman year or whatever,
Reed and them did Tool Schism is what they did.
And that's when Adam Rich played the guitar, right?
Adam
So
won
Adam
Ariel's freshman year.
Adam Rich had done that, and then Michael Burrow did the national anthem on the guitar, which
Which was
fucking
y'all's
incredible.
sophomore year.
And then James something or another, it was like Shadowin or something like that. Or,
Oh no! We
did
know
the
exactly
drum
who it
solo.
is. James.
Did it fucking
we
drum
know
solo.
exactly who it is.
Dude,
James.
great, man.
Was just with Cameron.
Yeah.
James
Cloutier.
Cloutier.
I hope you're not watching
that
this.
fucking-
Sorry about your recent divorce.
Dude, that fucking drum solo was boss, man. Like, for real.
Yeah, he was a good drummer. They did my
Our
senior
talent
year, they
shows
did-
were fucking
And
lit.
honestly,
We had some talent in our school.
shout out to Sam McReynolds and Josh Mohan for the cheerleader routine that they did one
Dude,
year.
they did. That was
not win.
y'all's senior
was
year,
Will,
though.
was Will Ferrell and that
was
whole
after I'd graduated.
Yes, and
Yeah,
they were like a superstar.
Will Ferrell. It was Will
Fucking
Ferrell
great.
and
Fucking great. Awesome.
Yes. Sam McReynolds,
So,
Josh Mohan. Josh Mohan's
obviously-
badass. Serves our country.
Yes.
Sam
Yeah,
McReynolds.
dude.
I'm not sure what she's doing, but
She's
I'm
a
sure she's
doctor,
doing
I'm
something
pretty sure.
great.
Yeah,
Osborne
she's a doctor,
now
yeah,
is
yeah.
her name. So I know that back in maybe it was Super Nintendo, and what was crazy is it's weird for me, and I was going to use this as the segue, is in your podcast about video games, you are a console person, not a PC person.
Right.
And now I've already found out today you are a PC person, but Doom was something you loved, so I got the Doom 64.
Oh, sweet.
Nintendo Power if you wanted to just see Doom.
So Doom was one of the very first games I played on PC, and I sucked at it because you're having to use a D-pad and you're having to. I didn't do the AWSD thing, and I'm still not great at that. I'm trying to do it with Overwatch right now, but with Doom 64, this was what the very first FPS first-person shooter game I played, and then after that, it was Duke Nukem.
Remember when the code was you could shit in the guy's head at the end
Right.
of the newspaper? That was
that Doom?
That was Duke Nukem.
Duke Nukem. And you could also go to
you go to strip club, throw the money at, and she shake them little square titties back and forth, and it was great. But Doom 64 was one of the greatest games, and actually, it's funny. I watched a lot of video game shit. So IGN did a thing on the best video game characters of all time, and the Doom guy. This is actually what his name is. The Doom guy. Finished in the top 4 outside of Master Chief, Mario.
So is that the
Halo to me
so
is
in
the first
movie-
internet game.
So do you understand in the movie? So is the guy that plays? So is Dwayne
So
The Rock
it's
Johnson
like-
is not the main character in Doom. The guy that is in Lord of the Rings. He's also in the Star Trek remakes.
He's on that show, the Amazon show about superheroes.
We talked. It's not Keith Urban. Carl Urban is his name.
Great actor.
So he is playing the main guy, the guy you're talking about in that Doom game.
With the one with the Rock.
Correct.
Yeah. So, the Doom movie, like the Doom games, okay to me. Like Doom Eternal just came out here recently, and a bunch of other Doom games. They are okay. It kind of seems like over the top extreme action games to me. I can't really get into it as much. There's not a real story plot. It's
But
just
it was a
more-
movie.
Yeah, it was a movie. Yeah.
I gotta look up the year. Carl Urban and
The
Dwayne
Rock.
The Rock Johnson.
Which
Who should be our next
which is
president.
pretty decent. But top 100 games. You were talking about.
We're gonna
this.
get there, but there's a couple
Go
things
ahead.
you brought up.
So I actually brought almost some swag. You talking about like the Dunder Mifflin thing? I have a Banjo Kazooie 1998 N64.
So this was, and I know you brought it up on y'all's podcast about video games, and they kind of passed off because I don't think they had N64. They didn't play it like that.
So N64.
But Banjo-Kazooie was a legitimate game that people forget about.
100%. It was one of the best games for 64. So when N64 came out, I had a neighbor down the street. His name was Michael Murphy. Shout out, haven't heard from you in a long time, man. Love you. But he had GoldenEye, had Perfect Dark, had a Superman game, had Banjo-Kazooie, had Killer Instinct, had Mario Kart. I mean, like you talked about Mario Kart. Mario Kart, you get lost for fucking 4 hours and you come back and you're just like,
I bought the Mario Kart cover, Nintendo Power 2, just because I know
Is this Michael Murphy right here?
Games.
No. Michael Murphy is a guy that's super tall. I went to Portland High School. Football guy.
Not him, man.
Humble guy, great guy. He married a girl, last name Hilgedick, related to the one that went to our school.
Nicole.
There's the old GoldenEye posters, old school.
Which one is that in?
N64, that's GoldenEye.
Isn't that sick? What-
Natasha.
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 What?
Yeah,
What?
that's Natasha.
Is that in the? What's
This
on the
is-
front?
This is inside the Mario Kart 64 cover, which I know you thought was one of the greatest games.
No,
One of the greatest
absolutely.
multiplayer games.
All
I
the time.
remember, I got a memory of this game because when I got the N64 that I got, which once again goes
Mine
back
was
to
green.
what made the PlayStation better,
Mine was the
colors.
Donkey Kong version.
Donkey Kong version. See, I think I had the original N64.
And didn't know that, but there was a little chip thing you had to put in the front to do like certain games. I forget what that
Donkey
was
Kong
called.
64 was one of the first games you had to have like the expansion pack in the front of it or whatever.
Right. So mine came preloaded with that because I was late to the game.
Which I wasn't a big Donkey Kong 64 fan. It came with the
neither.
bangos, but it was, now that I'm thinking about it, and I just looked at Banjo-Kazooie, the gameplay of Donkey Kong 64 is a lot like Banjo-Kazooie.
Right, but Mario 64, getting all the gold
Correct,
stars.
and
was
Mario
one of the great
64
games.
is in the top 100, and to be honest with you, Mario 64 to me is one of the greatest games of all fucking time.
100%.
It's probably number one in there.
It
if I had to guess.
Mario 64?
One of the first games that actually introduced Metal Mario and a lot of other concepts or whatever.
I
It was
remember
really,
watching
really
Andrew
great.
Taylor. Who talked
So
about
he
that
never
earlier.
played the game, but we
Who
talked
played it.
about recurve bows and the guy who was on Joe
Dude.
Rogan. Did you ever play Turok?
Yes, Turok was fucking great.
Okay.
So
There's
That's
the mini
King Griffey
remakes or a
baseball.
few remakes. That's
Yeah.
the King Griffey one. How did you forget that? Unreal.
Yeah.
nice.
So,
Yeah,
but
that's
there's
pretty
a
good.
Turok poster
Dude,
in one of these.
I'm gonna say,
over here,
like,
man.
I'll be so sad if we find out King Griffey Jr. was juicing the entire time.
I don't think he
'Cause
was.
He's the only purist that just.
Well,
absolutely
MLB
fucking
just
killed
came
it,
out
man.
with a documentary about him. The MLB Network did, and I watched it.
But
It's on
another-
YouTube, and I don't think he was juicing at all. I truly
No.
don't. He stayed the
Pure
same
talent.
size the whole time. He was pure talent. His swing is the purest of all time.
And another game that stuck out to me
Well,
was one of my.
what do you think about Chipper Jones versus King Griffey?
See, I'm a big Braves fan, so like my
Yeah, I know.
brother's favorite player ever is Chipper Jones. My brother was the baseball player in the family. He played baseball up to his junior year of high school. He didn't play his senior year, but Chipper Jones was like his hero.
His hero,
honestly.
yeah. I remember
and I
that.
think he has a very pure swing.
Now
But there's nothing like that left-handed King Griffey swing.
Nah,
I'm sorry, that
well,
thing was
the
beautiful.
Braves back then, like Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine.
Oh, dude, we had the best bullpen of all time.
Oh yeah, John
Steve
Rocker used to come
Avery.
sprinting
Well,
out, and
well,
he had to be in like a pin.
Well, before John
Right.
Rocker, we had Greg Maddux, John Smoltz,
John Smoltz,
Glavine,
Glavine,
Hall of
and
Famer,
Ken
yeah.
Avery, or Steve Avery. Dude, those guys right there, unbelievable. They won the '95 World
Absolutely,
Series almost
absolutely.
single-handedly. Like
And to
those dudes were
say,
unbelievable.
this was another game that you brought up on y'all's podcast, and to me, it was a game that I brought up the other night when we were talking, which will come out eventually, is an animated movie or series of Star Fox.
Yes.
I love Star Fox. And
Dude.
right here, what's cool about the Nintendo Powers, I have them all intact. Like, there's the Star Fox cards.
The cards,
Even
yeah.
so, but like the Star Fox game, and you can flip
Dude,
that and have some
I
nostalgia
fucking
if you
love Star
want,
Fox,
man.
Falco, Froggy, and
Yes.
and even fucking when they got to Super Smash Brothers and you could play as these characters, I was so much a fucking fanboy of these characters.
I always chose Star Fox in
Me
the new
too.
Switch game. I chose Star Fox. He has like the gun
On
Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
terrible at that game. Why am I so bad at it?
Dude,
Star Fox
it's a
Explorer
button
was a legit
smasher. I feel
game.
and I'm bad at it.
It is 100%. Like my kids
I'm
are beating
bad at
my
it.
ass at the new one on the Switch, and I'm just
bad
like,
at
man,
it,
fuck.
dude.
Unless I'm playing Kirby, I spank their ass when I'm Kirby. But
Oh,
other
where
than
you
that,
can pull them in and
you can
become.
float. You can turn to
But this poster, so this is the top 100, and this is what I really wanted to go through, and we can talk about each game if we want to. Like time limit is
So,
not.
what-
time.
what was the
But
year
look
this
at
came
this
out?
sick ass poster of all the Nintendo Power.
Oh, that's pretty good.
fucking-
What? Hold on. What does
Well,
it say?
so-
Fun to
but-
the 100th power. Is that
But,
what it
but
says?
this poster is two-sided.
Fun to the 100th
I thought it was
power.
great that
Yeah.
you had Nintendo Power Collection. So one thing that I had was I never had Nintendo Power. I had Game Informer.
I
Right
have
from
some
the
Game
get-go.
Informers, but not all of them.
So
But
I had a collection of them. I'm very curious. So what year did this magazine release? And then I
in
want
general, the first ever one.
I kind of want to
or
take a
this
guess.
top 100.
That top 100. I want to take a guess at what
Sit
the
back.
top 100 games were.
Look at what number is
This
the
is the
edition?
100th issue.
The 100th issue.
100th issue was the top 100. So Diddy Kong Racing did not come out yet. And y'all only mentioned that in there, but Diddy Kong Racing was a big
Much
time
better.
game for me. It had
Well, it was
hovercraft plane. It was RPG,
But it was the original
but
release
also-
for
right.
N64 also. It came out with the game. Like when you bought the game, that was one of the games that came with the N64.
Right.
We were
But-
PlayStation people. My cousins had the N64.
So,
That's the only reason I know
so
that.
like TJ and Chad, when you talk about the Whiskey Bros podcast, they will talk about Final Fantasy VII and stuff like that. I never really got into the Square Enix Final Fantasy
Let's see,
games.
I played Final Fantasy
Only
7,
10.
Final Fantasy
I got
9, Final Fantasy 10.
9
Titus
was the
or
first
Zane,
one I
Zane.
played.
9 and 10 with Titus and with Lulu and Waka and all that. That's
I
all really
love
got into.
the water ball in Final Fantasy X.
Dude,
like the
fuck
game, it was like its
yes.
own
It
sports
was a
game.
game inside
It's
of the
so
game.
fucking
Yeah,
great.
Luca.
And-
I almost wanted to name one of my sons Luca. At
And
one
Had the
time.
orange. Who was the orange-haired volleyball player type guy?
Waka.
Is that his
Walker,
name?
But
yeah,
then
you
you
also
said-
had that was
Orin.
Titus, Orin.
That was a great
Riku.
game.
I played that game a lot.
I
Final
got to a
Fantasy
part I
IX was
couldn't beat.
Steiner, Vivi, Zidane.
Right.
That game was fun as
So 9 and 10 were great, and then after that I was fucking done with Final Fantasy, but I loved
This was
Kingdom
1997.
Hearts 97.
97. So the top 100 games in the Nintendo platform
Mario 64 had to be number one.
in 97. So
Had to
let's
be
get
had
there. Let's
to be
see.
number one. at the
If it's
time.
not number one, it's got to be GoldenEye.
It's got to be Mario 64 was one of the greatest games. Have you ever seen the guys
I
who beat it in 12
understand.
minutes and
Dude,
then, like,
yeah,
use the
the
rabbit
speed
to get
runs?
through the door?
Yes,
it's
fuck yes.
God.
Dude, when
Those
I
guys
see
have
when
way too
I
much time on
speed
their
a
hands.
speed run of the game, I'm just like, man, these fucking guys are boss. Like I watched somebody do the game Cuphead.
Oh,
Going through that.
Cuphead, dude! I watched
Dude,
So I got a good friend that streams. I mean, has a decent following. His girlfriend actually has a much bigger following.
That
than he
game
does,
is fucking
but
hard.
It looks
as
hard as
shit.
fuck. It looks
but the
very hard.
50s art style with like the steamboat,
super cool.
That steamboat Willie art
Yes.
style, man, is fucking cool as shit, man.
Yes.
Like,
Cuphead looks like
dude.
one of the hardest games I've ever seen.
But
I watched him stream it. He streamed it for about a month straight, and it looked hard as fuck.
dude, it was super hard. Like I started playing it, I was like, man, fuck this game.
What's game number 1?
So, like, before I'm gonna read kind of just a summary of the article before they start listing them, so we have the
Well,
mindset
honestly,
of the guys.
it might be better for you to listen, man. I'll just be like, that's bullshit, and just
Yeah,
kind of call
just
it out.
read 'em out.
I think you're gonna like this list.
Just read 'em
But
out.
before I get to that,
I'll create a time.
1997 is when this was. This is Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, in there. So basically, they're saying our 12 debaters representing every manner of gamer here at Nintendo nominated their picks for the best game from the libraries of NES, Game Boy, Super NES,
Game Boy.
Virtual Boy. I've never heard of that.
Virtual Boy was a Sega-based handheld game.
Before Game Gear?
And
Same time, right after.
and N64, but it says Virtual Boy completely struck out. Go figure. Must not have been very good.
No, it was not.
Once the nominations
I
were
didn't
in,
own
it was
it,
on
I
the
know
floor,
it is.
ticking off the reasons why they were
Virtual
right.
Boy, like you wore like a 3D headset type deal?
Yes.
I remember it, yes.
No, you remember for the Super Nintendo they had the Game Glove where it had the. They got
That's maybe what I'm thinking
That's
of.
that
Same time.
movie that we talked about. It isn't released yet, but the movie
Right.
Wizard, which they talk about
I
in
did
their
Game Boy.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
Same
kid,
shit,
the autistic
yeah.
kid goes against the kid with the glove.
Yeah, so I went back and watched that because I didn't
Okay,
recognize
go
it.
ahead.
So
The
me and you were
Wizard?
the same time frame. So when he was talking about Game Glove,
They
and
go
I
to
was
the
like,
Nintendo
oh
World
fuck, and then I went back and watched
Championships.
it. Yeah.
That's a
Something
good
that hit
fucking
me when
movie.
I was listening. Y'all need to go back and listen to the video podcast. It's the second one.
There's
It's
Whiskey Bros, number 2.
I'm very underrated because we even talked about video games as like I got philosophical with that shit. Was
As
like
soon as
video games talks about like how you can overcome failure because that was the earliest
I
taste
love
of failure
that part
they got.
of it, to be honest with you. How you tied it into just everyday life. Like,
Right.
video games teach you how to solve problems.
Right.
We were the
100%
generation
literally.
that had no video games and all of a sudden had video games. I mean, they were existing,
Right.
but we were
Well,
in the
well,
evolution of video games.
That's what I was going to say.
Well,
they had
man,
already
and-
begun, but we were in the true evolution. You're
Right,
right
and
about
the thing
that.
that sucks about today's stage or whatever, and you talk about your sons, both y'all or whatever, is like now it's just like field day. Hey, everybody gets participation awards. You're all winners in our book, and I'm just like, man, fuck that. You're a loser. You didn't win that gold ribbon.
These Nintendo
I'm
Powers,
with you.
hey,
I'm
these
with you on
Nintendo
that.
Powers in the back, they have challenges of like Wave Race 64, which
Right.
is another game that's
Dude.
underrated as fuck.
And
I would
that
like to
was
see
on
that as a show.
I had that Wave Runner on Dreamcast, and that was fucking
We
great.
talk about Dreamcast on here sometimes, and Dreamcast is overrated or before its time. Underrated before its time. That's where the 2K games came from.
NFL fucking 2K on the fucking thing. Man, I used
Just
to
like hours.
Like
I remember
like,
when I turned my Sega Dreamcast on and it didn't fucking come on. I was like, oh, the Sonic game was
Dude,
incredible.
fuck
You can
yes.
have the little thing that popped out of the controller and play on your own, almost
Right,
like what
right.
are those little things? Nanobytes. It was like a nanobyte, but it was for the Sega Dreamcast. It
you had a
could
memory
detach.
card. You had a memory
See,
card.
I don't
So-
remember that. I
It
do
could
remember-
detach.
So,
and
so
you
the thing
could-
was cool was that you on your if you're playing NFL 2K, you could do NFL
Oh, the
straight-
original
your
2K
plays were
on
Your
on your
plays were on your
controller.
controller, so you could do 4 verticals, or you could do a tight end post, or you could do a
See, I almost put
sluggo
Madden
route or
99
something
up
like that.
because I knew you were a big football
Dude,
game player.
Dude, so I'll tell you right up when you were talking about Madden earlier, like I used to be so good at Madden. At one point when
I
it was
remember
when
that. I
it
remember
was
you talking
Patrick
about
Rucker was good at man. He used
Dude,
to change all the
dude,
Y'all
he's
same
he's so
grade,
good.
yes.
So I would audible defenses. So I played Pat. Pat whooped my ass one time or whatever. But I will tell you one thing, like the 09 with Brett Favre and stuff like
I
that.
remember it. Wait,
Like,
was that the first one with QB Vision?
QB Vision?
Yes.
Which QB Vision was such
Changed
bullshit.
the game.
Yeah,
Do you remember Quarterback
I turned
Club?
it off every
Yeah,
time.
that fucking cone bullshit.
Do you remember Quarterback Club, which had Brett Favre on the end?
Right.
98 Quarterback
So
Club.
Brett Favre, okay, and I
was
know
Packers.
I've talked to your
Well,
brother.
the other one was Packers, too.
I didn't find out this until after I worked with your brother, but me and you have more in common with that man right there than you would ever know.
He was a huge fan. You were a huge fan of him also?
So before I was a Titans fan,
we have a
fathead of
Brett Favre.
So before
Kyle loves Brett Favre.
So
We'll talk
before I was a Titans fan, I was a diehard Packers fan. Brett Favre was my
Same.
fucking man right there. Him, fucking Donald Driver, Sterling Sharp. I mean, everybody that you fucking have.
Bubba Driver, one of my favorite pages.
Bubba Franks. I mean, motherfucker, man. Packers.
Mark Schmira, tight end, one of the best of all time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I bought Ahmad Brooks.
Brooks was the wide receiver who caught that crazy tight Super Bowl pass.
But Green.
The kid, for sure.
Green.
I just remember them losing
fumbled
to the Patriots
like a fucking crazy person, but
false.
Oh, they beat the Patriots.
Lost to the Broncos the next
went
year.
on their fucking dynasty.
They lost to the Broncos the next year with
But Brett Favre last year lost to the Giants in the NFC Championship.
that was horseshit. Missed field goal. Missed field goal.
Mason Crosby missed it, man.
I remember we talked about Jimmy Childers earlier. I was at his house when that happened.
So let's
go back to this, but real quick, N64 story, because it relates to their podcast, so we obviously all did our research, so we're supposed to. But something the N64 did, the PS1, PlayStation 1 did not do. Everybody had 2 controllers for the PS1. I remember wrapping my N64 controller up and going to people's houses and plugging it in and playing multiplayer.
Probably their house.
Well, their house, Chase and Roark's house, because he had Perfect Dark.
Yeah, I remember
Chase. Kalen Roark, all those people. So, like, the N64, because not everybody had 4 controllers, but everybody had their own controller. I remember having the Super Shock controller that one time.
Well, see, honestly,
the controller was the best fucking
the
controller.
Rumble pack in it. You have to buy the Rumble pack for the 64, right?
I would say for the N64, you had the
Till DualShock came out for PlayStation 1.
Right. So DualShock is still best controller in my opinion. No
one.
DualShock 4, the best controller
for PS2, right?
PS4.
It's PS4. Okay, yeah.
But I will say the N64 controller where you had this central thing. It took me a long time. So I don't know if you know this, but like Halo when it first came out,
inverted automatic.
It
changed me. I am an inverted.
Mason plays inverted.
So I broke myself from inverted. It took me forever. So inverted, and then not only that, but if you used one joystick on an N64, it was legacy controls. I don't know if you remember that. So default was where you turn left and right. So you turn the camera left and right with the right analog.
You used to have to use
the
C
button.
You're talking about on GoldenEye.
C buttons on the controller.
We're talking about on GoldenEye?
So if you were playing GoldenEye, you would look left and right with the same joystick and move. But if you strafed, it was the C buttons.
I remember.
So when it went from N64 to a PlayStation 2 / Xbox controller, I played Legacy for a while. So I don't know if you knew this, Tyler, but Cody Fitzgerald.
He's incredible.
Rogue Turtle.
I played with Gunshot many times. He's famous.
So Cody Fitzgerald, myself and Steven, we shared an account. We became internationally ranked, like Cody, at Halo 2 when it first came out.
Correct. Cody was international. He was an alternate on a big-time team.
On a big-time team.
Now he has one of the top dispensaries in Colorado, by the way.
He clears $20,000-$30,000.
I think the team...
A month or a day?
For a day at his dispensary.
Wait, you still on the team?
No, we're works at a dispensary in Colorado.
He has one of the highest grossing dispensaries in Colorado.
So the biggest teams at that time were
Gunshot's team. He was an alternate on Gunshot.
Gunshot's team, and then there was Ghost Gaming, and then there was G2 Gaming. So
hold on, what was his name? Me and Andrew talked about this shit. Gunshot was his name.
Gunshot was the.
We could not remember his name. I thought
it
was Headshot.
Rogue Turtle was
Rogue Turtle was Cody.
But one time, believe it or not, in Halo original, maybe it was Halo 2. Gunshot would give lessons and people would pay, but Cody was in on the lessons.
Gene and Gene's house. I was
So
there.
I
You and
used to
Andrew
be
both
in.
played with him.
When he was giving lessons, I was in the room with Cody and Gunshot, and they were charging me. It was like the beginning
one thing that
Twitch or
Cody was so much better than me and no scoping a fucking sniper rifle.
He was incredible.
He was incredible good. But I could hang with him for the most part, but at the same time, when we got in close combat, I could keep up with him. But when it came to sniping, man, he was a fucking
Those
ball.
guys could move around the board unfairly.
Trevor McGuire was another.
He lived in our same neighborhood.
Same neighborhood, great fucking players.
Trevor McGuire, dude, I haven't thought about that name in a long
Sorry
time.
to say this, Trevor, if you ever see this, but he had gums that stuck. That's how I remembered it. It was like he had like his top lip would stick to his teeth, so when he smiled,
it's kind of like a Terrell Suggs.
Yeah, Terrell
Same
Suggs
way,
type
yes,
thing.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But same neighborhood, lived down there in there.
He lived back to the board back of one away.
It was like not Red Fox.
I remember it.
Beyond that, beyond Yancey.
Yeah, the other side of Red.
So let's get to the top 100, man.
Yeah, please.
So anyway,
what's number one? I want to start at number one.
They held a vote. You may not agree, but you can take it up with the judge. So these were 12 people on Nintendo.
Mario
number
64.
One, Super Mario 64.
Of course.
Dude, getting the stars. It's one of the greatest games.
I once watched Andrew Taylor play for hours on end, day after day, because he was trying to 100% that game.
But I will bring this up. Mason almost beat the game of the
Odyssey.
Switch game, Odyssey. And Kyle found out that
Odyssey's a great
I'm not letting
game.
this 9-year-old beat the game for me, and
So-
he played nonstop. Mason has like 600 moons.
He has more moons than me, for sure.
I hate to like.
It's a good game.
This is tough on how much of a fucking nerd I am, but so I beat Mario Odyssey.
Number 1, Super Mario 64.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was the first game I beat. I beat the Goose game. You know what I'm talking
Duck
about?
Hunt?
No. So you should look this up for your kids. Your kids will fucking love this. But it's the Untitled Goose game.
It's called the Goose Game.
But basically you play
No
as
Switch.
you play as a fucking goose on the Switch or whatever. And there's a gardener you're trying to get past or whatever, but you grab his fucking keys, take it from him, and you run past him and all this kind of shit.
I remember you talking about
Funny
what's the
shit.
cooking
So-
game, real fast before you stop. What's the cooking game? you have with your
Overcooked,
family?
dude.
Overcooked. I got it downloaded.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I would fucking love to play that game.
I remember weird things with Sonny. He plays this with his family.
So it's all teamwork. So basically, you're sitting there playing a game where, hey, we're cooking sushi. Hey, you're cutting up the fucking shrimp. You're cutting up the fucking rice, boiling it and shit, and you're making a fucking rice. Me and my wife play this game yelling at each other. No, fuck, cook the
I've
rice!
gotta download
Damn
it.
it, damn it! Yeah.
It's kind of like Mario Party when you have to go get the
We
order
played
and you don't want to
one of the worst
mistakes.
mistakes we
Right.
ever
Same.
made was we played Mario Party. Me and my wife were on a team, and Tyler and his wife were on a team. And it was like 2 hours of us arguing straight. It was bad.
So Overcooked is like 4-player co-op. Like when you do the sushi thing, you
We
don't have
should
to cook
not play
anything.
this.
But it is a ton of fun. And then you get to a point where you just got like a fucking behind me, like the Raiders of the Lost Ark. You got like an invisible bridge you got to cross to get to the Holy Grail, where you're just like, what the fuck am I
Perfect
supposed to
time.
walk across? And you're trying to cook all this shit or whatever. It gets fucking crazy.
So, anyways, back to the Goose Game. Goose Game.
I'm gonna Goose Game.
Sega Dreamcast Tomb Raider.
The
Did you
smallest
play that
player
game?
of all time.
Dude, great. PlayStation 1, one of the best games I ever played was Tomb Raider on the first thing. But when I played on Dreamcast, two of the best games, 2K Football, Sonic,
It's where 2K began.
and Tomb Raider.
Yep.
2K is where it began. Now, 2K's pretty much fell out outside of basketball. Basketball is kind of their niche. Football, they've lost to Madden.
Yep.
Madden's too fucking strong.
But the Dreamcast, not a lot of people had.
I had it. I loved it.
The 2K game that came out for football was one of the best.
Now,
games.
TJ and Chad will tell you about a game where you played that fish with the fucking face who's swimming around and shit like that, and you tell him a bunch of shit. I forget what the name of that fucking game is. We could look it up, but I mean, it's so fucking crazy. It's this guy with a fish with a fucking face that's just walking around. And I was like, man, fuck that.
Hey,
game.
one game real quick, because I know Kyle never played it, but I have the player's guide to it that you brought up on your podcast. I have the player's guide to Gex 3. Underrated fucking
Gex.
game. Did you
Gex.
play Chameleon for N64?
PlayStation 1, Chameleon and Gex were so fucking good. So fucking good. And during that same time, like, TV show-wise or whatever, I was watching Beast Wars. I was watching a ton of fucking shit. I remember John Michael. We were talking about him a little bit earlier. He had a fucking Optimus Prime Gorilla Transformer. Was incredible. And I got Megatron or whatever. I was so fucking jealous. He lived on Sunny Trail Hill, which was before Hollis and Red Fox or whatever. But
Who are we talking about again?
John Michael Marlowe.
Oh, Marlo, that's right, yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Saw him at actually hosted a competition, which was fucking weird. It's a whole different story. But anyways, from a video game standpoint, you had number one in the thing was Super Mario 64. Now, Ocarina of Time, if it's not number 2,
It's not number 2, man.
well, hold on.
But the game you love is number 2.
Link to the Past. All right.
A Link to
Is
the
that
Past.
number 2? So this is.
This is talking about Super NES, NES, N64,
Okay, so
and
that's
Game
where I was
Boy.
confused.
all time at that point.
All time in
Nintendo
1997.
So I will tell you this. So number 3 on this list or whatever always comes up.
Number
Always
3 is
comes up.
Tetris.
Tetris
For Game
So,
Boy.
I will
Can't
tell you
beat
right
it.
now.
My mom played the
I
shit
got
out of that
Tetris
game.
is a fucking badass game.
I don't
Now,
want y'all to see.
Was that
Oh,
a
yeah,
Russian? Was that a Russian inspired
German.
game? Right.
German.
So I
inspired game.
gotta bring this up. I use Tetris in my class because in biology, in chemistry, you have to know that tetra, it means 4.
right.
So Tetris, every piece in Tetris is 4. So I even let them like, hey, let's all play
shit.
Tetris for a little
Yeah.
bit, just so they lock in their brain.
Right.
Tetra is 4 in biology and chemistry. So anything I can connect to something they're doing, that's what I want to do. But Tetris is number 3. Number 4. So 2 of these games were on N64 and they came out at the same time. And I got a story about this game. Mario 64, Mario Kart 64 is game number 4.
Yeah.
Mario's
Now-
number 3.
3 was Tetris.
Oh,
2 was
okay,
Link to the
yeah,
Past.
that's
4
right.
was Mario Kart 64. So my story of Mario Kart 64 is me and my mom. I didn't have brothers. I didn't have a twin.
Lisa.
Me and my mom, we used to play chess. We used to play all kinds of games because my dad was old, so he went to bed at 8 o'clock. So
I'm so glad you know how to play chess because I nerded out one year, bought a $200 chess set, and
Dude, I'm trying to teach
I don't
you
know how to
play
see,
chess.
I don't know
'cause
how to
want a
play at
nice-
all.
I went in my retirement home with no kids. I want a nice ass chess set.
I have a White House pearlized white and blue fucking chess
Really?
set that's French. It's fucking great.
sounds-
You used to play a
It's
lot,
cool as shit.
and I remember you used to play. Who you used to play with?
I would have been part
of
of. I would have been part of a chess
Yeah.
club. No problem.
I won.
Dude.
Last time I played chess competitively,
Tell-
it was against someone who was in jail, and they played
I
chess
said
a
it's
lot.
competitive or not, man. I would love to fucking play in chess. Just
That
for
would be
of it.
fun
So I played a
to
bunch
watch,
of. At my first
personally.
job, I played a bunch of rednecks or whatever, and dude, I was. I underestimated their talent, and they whooped my ass on a couple games. But chess, I fucking love. We actually got to the point where on my first job, we did speed chess where you hit the clock, go back.
I
and
like
forth.
playing that way.
Dude.
I'll be honest. I one time at the Renaissance Festival. I don't know if you ever been there or whatever.
I've not.
Mason
Man,
before.
man, I want a fucking turkey leg
I
so
have-
bad.
I have
God dang.
but
Talk
hey,
about
yes.
I have,
Woo,
I have
God
my
dang.
waxed hand because I used to always go with my mom because it's in May, so I used to go on Mother's Day. Me and my mom have a very good relationship. Going back to what I was saying before, like I didn't have brothers, so my mom hung out with me. So I have waxed hands of year after year after year. My hand getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's really fucking cool.
That's cool.
And if I ever
From
have a
the
casket,
Renaissance
I'm gonna
Fest.
melt them on.
One of our teachers, Mr. Davis, used to take people there, and he was
Mr.
one of
Davis
the
is a
coolest
cool guy.
No,
high
we're
school
talking
teachers
about
of
that
all
Mr. Davis who
time.
tried like
The English literature teacher who used to play
Literature-
video games.
One of the
Each
coolest teachers of all time.
Dude, I only had him for one class. It was Greek mythology after Norfleet left and stuff like that. Mr. Davis is a super cool dude.
Yeah, dude, he's
Super
still
cool.
cool. I worked with him.
I
He's
had
cool.
him for
But
a ridiculous
My
class.
Mario Kart
years.
64
I can't
story.
remember what it was called.
It goes back to even y'all's podcast, dude. Y'all nailed it. The N64 came out, I think, 2 years after the PlayStation, so it was a little bit better
I think
graphics.
it's the same
better,
year
man.
as the
It's-
PlayStation.
No, it came out
was.
after. I listened to it.
It's
It's
too-
94,
There was one
96.
Christmas, but there was one Christmas
Or
where they were
95,
the
93.
competing.
What happened is they
systems.
people started realizing that console was the way to go besides PC, which we might come back to that later since now you're
Even
right.
way back then.
I will say.
Well, I guess you remember because one game, I wish I could remember the name of the game I played on my dad's PC. It came on the old school, not small drives that we used to have from Miss
Floppy
Norman's
disks.
class, but the big floppy disk. And my dad had a game. It was he was a detective. I don't remember. I wish I remember what
Damn,
the
I
game
feel
was
like I remember
called.
that. We played Oregon Trail on the computer.
Yeah.
It was a
You-
hard
you-
fucking
you-
game.
You have died of dysentery, Oregon
Yeah.
Trail.
So Mario Kart 64, I remember
You can
when this
buy a
first
pretty
came
shitty
out.
handheld that
Me
of
and
that
my
now.
mom played for fucking ever. I went outside and the fucking trees were moving because you had never seen anything like that. But Mario Kart 64, and this brings me to my question, Levi, about beating. I instilled this in Mason and Liam because Liam loved the Kirby game for the Switch.
Right.
And I
Dreamland.
tried to explain to him the difference between beating a game and,
And
completing
completing a game.
That is two totally
Way
fucking
different.
different things.
Way
like
different.
to complete a Zelda game.
100% long.
Well, Odyssey is
Hours.
a long ass game too. There's
So,
999
so-
moons
I
on
remember,
it.
y'all remember, and I'm sure a lot of people listeners remember, Metal Gear Solid we've already brought up, the Final Fantasies. I remember when it said you reached into this disc, you were like, fuck yeah, I reached into this fucking disc. Hell yeah, I did.
So there are 5 games that have 100% completed.
All right, let's hear them. Because there's a difference, everyone.
I'd love to hear 'em.
Beating a game and completing a game is two different things.
Oh.
I would consider completing like Mario Kart 8 for
100%.
Switch. You gotta have the golden card, the golden flying
You're
thing,
pretty
and
close.
the golden Mario.
So-
the time trials are fucking impossible, dude, to get the golden card.
They are.
It's
So-
fucking ridiculous.
And that's why I never did it.
It's ridiculous.
So, Legend of Zelda Link to the Past.
you completed
100%.
number 2 game all time. Did you beat Mario? I completed Super Mario 64, every star, everything.
I beat it. I don't know at 100%.
120 stars, I think.
Some of the time trials I never got. Outside of that, 100% complete. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Remember it.
off the PlayStation 3. Outside of that, Halo 2, 100% complete. Multiplayer challenges, trophies, everything.
Dude, some of the boards on Halo 2 multiplayer playing, I swear to God, I played 5 hours straight with someone at my
Dude, they're
fucking
so
house.
fucking great, man.
The story
You
mode.
You think 2 was the best out of all the
Halo 2 is
Halos?
one of the best games of all fucking time.
So I want to tell you right now. So Halo is just now being released on the PC. So I bought the PC Master Chief Collection. Halo 3 just released the other day. ODST came out at the same time. Fucking great games. and the 4K 100% Ultimate. But
Keep going,
outside
games.
that, completed games. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, 100% complete.
Metal Gear
I
Solid 2
remember
was the game I played a lot. It was
Sons,
like fucking 5
Sons
discs
of
or
Liberty,
something.
fucking great. You played half the game as Snake, then you played the other half of the game as Raiden, and it got fucking weird towards the end.
As Raiden? Like,
Not the Raiden from Mortal Kombat, but there's a guy, white hair.
okay,
somewhere.
okay.
Who was your Mortal Kombat trilogy character you chose every time? I was a Noob Saibot all the way, and fucking John Kirby blew my mind.
Don't
It's
remember.
the creator's name backwards.
Kung Lao.
Kung Lao. He's the one who
The
threw the
hat.
hat
The
on
hat.
the ground. Like
Whoa.
a,
Mario's just-
so on Mortal Kombat trilogy, Kung Lao and Cabal were the two top. He had the hook
Yes,
swords.
yes,
You could do
yes.
the death thing, pull them in and stuff like that.
I
fucking
like
rape on
Striker.
people. Striker was fucking great. You
See,
do
I don't
fucking
remember.
grenade-
My
do
parents
fucking
were
grenade,
so.
do-
My
do-
parents
do-
were so.
do the machine gun and throw it
straight
back.
laced.
I know you love Mortal Kombat as well. It's one of the best movies.
we
We,
got
had,
11?
we had talked about that because 11 I have not played, but we had talked about best fighting games of all time. So Street Fighter 2 has to be the best two.
I agree.
Chun-Li.
It was the first game I remember
fucking,
on PC, by the way.
Guile, fucking.
Dude, we gotta get to the list, bro, because these
Sorry,
movies,
sorry.
these are
Wait,
games
get to
that
the
are-
list. Let me real quick.
Okay.
So if you completed Mario 64, that means you collected 120 power stars.
I was right.
So there was
Fuck yeah, I did.
So there was 70 original, but there was
so
that many more
I,
hidden.
I remember exclusively. I collected.
got it.
I collected 116 stars and did not ever finish.
I did to get 120. I think I have it saved. We might have to go put it
So
in the
I did
fucking
3 of the 5.
thing.
The other 2 games I 100% completed. One was shit. The Last of Us, the first one.
See,
Oh,
we talked
okay.
about this
We
the other day.
did.
Like, is that like a movie? Is it a
So-
game?
It could be made into a
gonna
movie
say right now,
easily, I
so,
believe.
I didn't play The Last of Us 2 because the story plot is just so intense, but The Last of Us is one of the best stories you can ever play.
Could
in a
be
game.
made to a movie easily.
100%.
Okay.
God of War 5 was the very last game, top 5 round.
See, we haven't played it. We talked about it, but we haven't played it.
Ocarina of Time, Zelda was number 5. God of War would be 6.
Ocarina of Time, one time I used that strategy guide and I turned my Ocarina into a fucking bottle and saved, so I quit playing. I was like at the very fucking end of the game.
Majora's
I said, "This is
Mask, fuck
bullshit."
that game.
Dude, Ocarina of
Fuck
Time has
yourself.
some classic, like, Epona song.
Dude, the song
Dude,
you're
the
playing?
song-
Yeah.
So hard. Some of those
Tom
were
song,
ridiculously hard to remember.
I had 'em
That's
on
all.
the rest.
I had a friend that played them, but I never truly played it. But back to the list.
Number
I'm sorry.
5, Super Mario Brothers 3. For
Okay.
Super Nintendo, came out in February.
Is that
of
what
1990.
introduced the raccoon tail?
So IGN actually had that as the top game of all time, right behind Link to the Past.
8 million copies sold, it says.
And
You
I don't,
hooked
I
the
don't
game
blame
from Three Ninjas that they're playing?
that's the one who's
suit.
got the raccoon tail on the back end. or whatever.
That's the game they're playing in the
that's
movie
one.
Three Ninjas.
Raccoon Suit is
100%.
also at the end, because I know this from the Whiskey Bros podcast video games. It's also in the movie Wizard, and
Yeah.
they introduced that game in
That's
the
the
movie
game they
Wizard.
introduced in Wizard. You're right, at the Nintendo World Championship. You're
Yeah.
dead fucking
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
The main character was the kid from the Wonder Years, Savage.
Fred Savage.
Fred Savage played the main one, and the younger brother that was the autistic kid is the kid from, I don't know if you remember the movie about the Minnesota Twins. King Griffey was in. It was called Little Big League. The main kid that played like the GM's grandson who took over the team as a child. It was the same time as Rookie of the Year, same style
Little
movie. It was
Big
called
League.
Little
Oh,
Big
yeah,
League. He
yeah.
took over the Minnesota Twins. They lose to the Mariners in like the divisional playoff or whatever. Randy
yeah.
Johnson is pitching.
Which one is it? There's the movie cast.
So the kid from it is Luke Edwards. That's the kid from The Wizard. He plays the young kid that's
Yeah,
incredible
yeah,
at the
yeah,
video
yeah.
games. He's unreal. He's also in Little Big League.
Yeah.
Yes, hell yeah. I love when he blows my mind. with
Wizard,
movies I never
the
fucking heard
Wizard,
of,
the
man.
Wizard
Right.
is a movie from the '80s that I had in my brain, and there was a long period of time where I thought it was a dream. It was like,
Right.
man, I remember this movie where this kid played
It's all
Nintendo
about
at the end of
glove
it.
and all that. It's
Right.
badass.
Well, the kid,
Right.
the kid he competes against at the end is like the prodigy also. It shows him playing the glove.
Yes. He
Rookie-
said, I don't use this controller.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Rookie of the Year, the pitcher that he mentored was actually Gary Busey.
Gary Busey, 100%. The Rocket. The Rocket
Rocket,
was his
Gary
name.
Busey.
For the high stinking cheddar. Yes. 100%.
He has the new heat
my
and the
brother,
cold, right?
my brother at
The
14
heater.
years old looked exactly like the kid from Rookie of the Year. Was weird. People used to stop us in public and be like,
Fucking teeth.
"Are you the kid from Rookie of the?" And it's because he had big teeth. That is 100% the reason. He looked just like him. The slant eyes and the big teeth. My brother looked just like him.
Man.
Rookie of the year.
Number 6.
Yeah, same kid.
I never played this game. They go into it in detail on the Whiskey Bros podcast number 2. Super Metroid.
Never played it.
The storyline's incredible, supposedly.
I actually,
Tell us.
I almost thought about bringing it to you because I have it on the Game Boy Advance SP. But they
Remember it.
re-released it for
Was that the one
it's
that
a
they
light-
released?
Game Boy
Open
Color, though,
up
I
that.
had the magnifying glass and the light and
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Tyler had a fucking Game Boy Color, had the Game Boy Pocket.
I got the
had
gray
the
one at my
had the
house.
magnifying glass.
Were you
on
into
it and everything.
Pokemon? You were Pokemon age group.
Dude,
You should see how many cards this guy has.
Thousands. I have some
So-
first editions, real deal shit, man. I got the whole fossil first edition.
We're gonna do
I'm
a
not-
whole
I'm not
pod
gonna
about that at
lie.
some point.
The original 150, I still have it in a card collection thing.
Incredible.
A binder and whole.
I have a whole basic set.
Then I have
$1,000.
then I have the fossil collection, 100%.
I got first edition
You think it's probably worth
Yeah,
5 times
me
that
too.
much at this point?
Not worth a
No.
quarter of that.
No,
You think it's worth less now?
No,
way
because
less.
Pokemon's still popular. Once it fades out, then
And it
it'll be worth something.
disappears. Dude, I have G.I. Joe.
You're right. It's too
guns.
popular.
My- and my bro-
I have
my-
some
my-
of the little shit.
My younger brother.
What was the coolest thing I got? I got the little guys. They're like the little bitty things, and they come in. I got some of the whole sets.
Mighty Max.
I got Mighty Max. I got some.
Yeah,
Mighty
but the
Max.
coolest
Now-
thing you got is the holographic Pokemon you have that you have not have priced, which
Now,
I feel like
I
you
have-
should have
that have been
priced.
protected the whole
The
time.
holograph Japanese ones you have, I feel are worth
so
money.
you have Japanese cards, me too.
Yeah,
He does.
Charizards, I have
And
many of them.
Charizard, the whole
I got, like,
Gyarados,
Blastoises,
the whole
I
nine
got
yards.
them all.
He's got a bunch. I'm the age group above it.
So
So
he
you
missed
were,
it.
you were either into Pokemon or you were not.
Now the generation after that, my little brother has a card collection.
I think 85 to 95 is
You
their
think
own
your brother has
generation.
a better collection
my
than
little
yours?
brother for Yu-Gi-Oh cards, he has
Little
a blue
brother.
eyes white
Yu-Gi-Oh.
dragon.
See, you
Okay.
forgot he even had a little brother. That was awesome. That
I had no idea. But
It's
Yu-Gi-Oh! Some of the kids in my grade were into Yu-Gi-Oh! They were the kids that sat in the cafeteria and played Magic and that type of
Hey,
stuff.
I watched Yu-Gi-Oh with Liam and them again. I love Yu-Gi-Oh.
here's
It's a
the
great
deal.
show, yeah.
Here's the deal. As
And
far
actually,
as
Naruto's
anime,
not a great
dude, I talked to Taylor. So I have a friend that is on Twitch. I
He's
say
a
he's
big
my
time
friend.
Twitch
I was
guy.
friends
He
with.
can play.
You remember
Yeah.
Skylar Wood?
Yeah,
His
Zach,
little-
I remember Zach.
You remember Zach? He was my age. His little
He's
brother
dead.
Taylor, man.
Skylar was a great bloke.
Their baby brother is one of the best human beings you could ever
I
meet.
love him,
Super
Taylor.
nice kid. Moved across the country to stream. Like he was like, I'm getting out of White House.
Lives
There's
with
nothing
YouTubers.
for me here.
Now he
Moved-
was dating one of the Easers right at one point.
Skylar was.
Was it
Skylar?
Amber?
No,
Amber Easer.
Amber Easer,
She's
correct.
not really with the other Easers, though. I think it's like a cousin.
It's Alex's first cousin.
Yes.
Correct. You are right about
Dads
that.
are brothers.
Regardless, their baby brother Taylor was a legit streamer. I mean, he had at one point in time had like 15,000 followers.
His girlfriend
on Twitch.
has 150,000.
His
something
girlfriend
followers
makes
on
like
TikTok.
60,000 a month
Right.
off Twitch.
So
Like,
Super
ridiculous
Metroid.
amount of money.
So that's
But-
actually the third game, right?
So Super Metroid in
This
the
is Super NES, your favorite system.
in
One of your
the,
favorite
in a
games.
shell. That game is number 7 on my list for top 10.
Number 7.
So I re-solidified that. Before
So is
we were
this
on
list not bad so far?
It's not bad.
It's pretty
so
good.
number 7
You
on
were
my
more of a Kyle is a Sony guy.
I'm a Sega. I had the
Sega
Sega
is
Genesis when
it's-
y'all were playing
it's-
Super
it's-
Nintendo.
It's in this book. Number
Yeah.
7 for me is Super Metroid.
You have N64 though. You had just the
No, we had PlayStation
So-
1.
Six,
We asked for both for Christmas and we got the PlayStation 1.
The best way I know how to compare Super Metroid to any game is basically you get upgrades as you go along with your weapons. And
See, I know
stuff
what he
like
looks
that.
like. He's
Play
red.
Super
His
You
Nintendo.
know
color
him
is
from.
red.
You know him from
Samus.
Super Smash.
Super Smash.
Samus. Yeah,
The Super Smash.
female
He's that
character.
guy, right? Yeah. Or girl.
But she.
But I remember Metroid Prime. I know what that
you got
is.
ball
It's a
fights.
different version of Mega Man.
Yes, absolutely. That's
I love
that's a
fucking
great
Mega Man
game.
Soccer.
His
I have
gun
that
is his
game. It's a
arm.
rare game.
It's his gun, his arm?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
He charges up, shoots a big ball.
Gotcha.
Ball.
Number 7. So number 6 was Super Metroid. This is a pretty good list so far, in my opinion. Number 7.
I don't know.
GoldenEye.
Yes.
I think that should be in top 5, in my opinion.
Now
It is the beginning of
And that's
first-person
'cause I didn't
shooters.
own a
now
64.
all time it is the first FPS game that really just laid the.
In my opinion, it's the first game where cheat codes mattered.
yeah.
because you
If
played
you,
with
You're
friends.
probably right.
if you're
yes.
playing,
It mattered.
if
Odd
you're-
Job, you brought it
if
up
you're
on your
playing
podcast.
if you're playing golden gun with Odd Job, man, you had an unfair advantage. You fucking if you were Jaws, you were fucked.
Yeah, I
You
know.
were fucked.
And I know you brought up there, and it's like, oh, well, once you learn how to play the game. No, our job is for everybody winning. You can sneak up on everyone.
You're
you can
shorter
be
than
small,
everybody else, yeah.
But you can make everybody short. You can make people have big heads. We always bring it up. NFL Blitz had one of
Yes.
the best codes of all the games.
There's so many codes for that
bullshit
game.
about the whole thing.
Played
is-
that game 100
It's
million
like
times.
as soon as you knew who was gonna throw up, the player turned white. You're just fuck that player up.
I love the Packers on that game because Brett Favre could throw it further than anyone, except for the player that beat him in the in the Super Bowl, Denver Broncos quarterback John Elway. He could throw it further than anyone on the original Blitz game.
So
Elway
something that was incredible that I learned on the Whiskey Bros podcast about video games was Chad, I think, described why the Final Fantasy numbers were fucked up.
Right.
Because in Japan,
He did.
In
Dude, it's been a
Japan,
long
they
time since I
released
listened to that, I
games,
remember.
but they only released them in America. A lot of people don't know this. Going back to Pokemon, the first ever Pokemon game.
It's very
was actually,
similar to this show.
Correct. The first ever
Power
Pokemon
Rangers.
game was actually Pokemon Green, which never existed.
Never heard of it. Pokemon
No,
Yellow was the
Venusaur.
original color, I
Venusaur.
remember.
No, but it was Pokemon Red and Blue.
Venusaur was the main
But
character. in that
Pokemon
one.
Green was the first ever Pokemon game released in Japan, and then Blue and Red were released. I still have Pokemon Red.
So Blue and Red
I
were
have
before Yellow?
over 30 Pokemon level 100 on my Pokemon Red. We
So-
can pull it out, put it in the fucking N64.
He still got
so
it.
Play Pokemon Stadium. I have over 30 Pokemon level 100. It's where I learned how to beat Final Fantasy games. I used to take and run around in the grass for fucking hours,
Right.
killing
On the
pigeons
Pokemon games?
to
Yes.
get my experience up to
Which-
beat the game.
Very
It happened
smart.
over and
Which
over
is
and over.
Very smart.
The common thing, and it's a total strategy where even common day animes such as Sword Art Online and a bunch of other animes where you basically level up on a bunch of fucking warthogs that are like nothing or whatever. You go to some bullshit area, knocking out a bunch of chocobos and all this bullshit just to up your level.
I called them chocobos, and when I was listening to that, and they said it was chocobos, and apparently, what's his name?
You can call it Buzz.
Not Chad.
They were
Someone
actually
else
bows.
wrote a whole paper.
Yes.
Hey, so there's and I don't want to go off on this tangent. I want to stay here, but James Lindsay, just in podcasts that I've listened to,
Right.
James Lindsay wrote fake science papers and sent them in to peer-reviewed
You
journals,
told me
and
that.
he fucking got
got
them
accepted.
in there. He got accepted. He wrote one about dog parks and racism of who picked up their shit, and he submitted it to like this.
Was one of them
peer-reviewed journal.
the buggy?
No, one of them
review?
had to do with
One
masculinity.
thing I've seen
and
recently is the
ordering.
people who return their buggy to the buggy return
Right.
review. I've seen recently
But
on
this
social
was a
media.
fake paper.
Like that tells you who's
using-
good American and who's not. Who returns their buggy to the car?
Using
I do it
science
every time.
lingo.
I do too. Also,
And Levi, they wanted to give him an award for this study, and he had to tell the editor,
It's
I
just
made
false."
all of this shit up. His name is James Lindsay, and
James
it is
Lindsay.
fucked up. But
Anyways.
number 7, GoldenEye, the beginning of first-person
Right.
shooters,
Right.
but
best
we've
ever.
already
Can't
talked about
argue
it.
against it.
It is one of the best ever, but there was a game equal to it called Perfect Dark, which we've already talked about.
Yes.
And Kalen Roark had Perfect Dark. I had GoldenEye.
Best
So I
co-op
went to
story
this
game
house,
ever.
we played.
Perfect Dark is
It was co-op. GoldenEye was not co-op.
so Perfect Dark was co-op. You could play through the story mode combo.
Together.
Two players, first game.
Incredible, and you had a
Fir-
twin
first
brother,
game,
so that had to be
absolutely.
perfect.
So Secret of Mana was the first one, which I mentioned on SNES.
Oh, Secret of Mana, that's right.
But, so you could actually play. So the thing that was cool about that was it was the first player game that you could play 3-player co-op. It was the very first.
Which
Mana
one?
or Dark?
Secret of
Mana.
Mana. So you
Secret
can play
of
3
Mana.
people. So actually, when we invited you over to our house, we're just like, hey, Tyler can be that third man who can play the third character. We
Crazy.
get to take on this fucking boss fight
Hey,
that we
the
get
game that
on.
I remember playing the most multiplayer was with Cody Fitzgerald and his sister, and we played so much Power Rangers.
Yes, I know. What
It was the one with the White Ranger.
Side
I
scrolling.
remember. Incredible.
My
You
dad
thought
still has it
bosses
on
and you
S-
had to go up and
My
down.
dad
It was
still
4
has it on
lanes.
SNES.
Well, and if you talk to Chad and TJ, they will talk about the the SNES game remake of the Ninja Turtles, where you can side scroll and
Yes,
fight
because the
Bebop.
original was garbage.
While you were gone, we talked about the Double Dragon and the Toad game.
Battletoads.
But also in that same
Double
game,
Dragon is a rare game. It's
Fi-
worth
Final
$300,
Fight
$400,
is the category.
and I saw someone selling it on Facebook the other day, and I was about to just buy the whole lot so I could get the Double Dragon game. You need to watch it.
It's rare.
Yeah.
Number 8, and the reason I brought up Final Fantasy earlier, number 8 is Final Fantasy 3 for Super NES, October
what was
1994.
what was the full title for that game?
It says Squaresoft Final Fantasy 3. It says
Some of Gaia.
It must be Nintendo nearly came to blows during the Great Final Fantasy 3 versus Final Fantasy 2 debate.
First
It
Super
came down to-
Nintendo?
So number 9 is
I
Final
remember
Fantasy
this
2.
game.
All right, so I'm gonna tell you right now, fuck the game because I don't remember it.
But number 10
See,
is
I
Street
feel like I
Fighter
do
2 Turbo, which y'all said was the best fighting
Street
game.
Fighter 2 is the first game I remember that was cross-platform.
So you guys struggled to remember.
Turbo had the best speed, the best moves, and the animation was great. We decreed that this remains the tournament fighting game by which all others should be judged.
Absolutely. So to me, Mortal Kombat trilogy, Mortal Kombat 2, where you have Goro, you have
Mortal Kombat 2 had like a story mode.
Mintaro, you had all the characters, Shao Kahn, all those characters. Street Fighter 2, where you can play as Vega, you can play as fucking Bison, you can play as all these other characters.
It really went wrong.
Sagat-
Really, Mortal Kombat
Sagat-
2 went
Sagat-
with Mortal Kombat the movie.
Dalsim,
That's the first game I remember playing on a computer that was not on a
What was?
Super Mario or Street Fighter 2.
Street Fighter 2? Yeah.
It was called. It wasn't called Alpha. There was one called Street Fighter Alpha. I think it came out after
that was the
Street
one. That
Fighter
was the
2.
PC version.
It's just amazing to me how many
Street
Zelda
Fighter 2
games
Alpha is
are
what
in
it
the
was called,
top.
I believe.
Right here, The Legend of Zelda is number 11. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is number 12.
See, I don't remember
which the
those
Breath of the
games.
Wild is
So-
like Link's
so-
Awakening because
so
he awakens.
I
in
will
that
say
movie.
this. So the original Legend of Zelda, golden cartridge that goes into the Nintendo Classic,
Number
the
11.
NES, is just an okay game. I mean, and that's coming from our generational standpoint, where just the play mechanics are fucking weird. Now, the Legend of Zelda, the second one you have there, okay game, not nothing special in my opinion. It was just okay. What's 14 or 13, 14?
13, believe it or not, because you got to remember at the time frame, there's some games that hadn't come out yet. Star Fox 64 is number 13. That game was legit. Kyle never got to play that game, I don't feel like. But that
Star
game-
Fox. See, I told you about this. I used to watch Daniel Brooks,
Yeah, so
who was
many
my good friend,
characters.
play it, but I never personally played it. He would play that, and then we would play Rampage, which is what you showed right here.
Dude,
We played the
Rampage,
shit out of Rampage.
Fucking Lizzie, fucking Ralph, fucking
We played
George,
the shit out of that
beating
game,
the fucking
dude.
games, and there's no fucking end to the game. You play forever. I remember when
There is an end.
There is an end.
We played it until 2 a.m.
Rampage
one time
2
at
is
Daniel
the
Brooks'
game I
house. His little brother was your basketball manager, Matthew Brooks.
Yes,
He
yes.
played with us one time so we could try and beat the game. It might have been Rampage 2.
Rampage 2, I
Which
played
one
a lot.
could you have 4 players? Rampage 2?
Rampage 2, you can play.
World Tour was the one I played the most of.
So Rampage 2 was
I
that
really
was the third one that came out, I believe.
Right.
Rampage 1, Rampage 2, Rampage World Tour. We played the one, I believe the Rampage 2 you have, which is over in that box. Dude, that's the first one we ever beat. And I remember the first time we tried to beat it, Matthew Brooks turned that freaking 64 off when we were right
I
at the end.
I
Which
want
was the worst
someone
ever
to
because there
beat
were not
someone's
memory
ass
cards.
for turning
But-
off a
but
game
thing
one
is,
time.
Were there
They
memory
get-
cards
they-
on the 64?
Yeah,
See,
bro.
The cartridge saved though.
oh, okay.
The PlayStation 1, you have memory cards.
You had to have memory cards, but the cartridge saved for N64.
Okay.
I'm
Number,
going to say this. My favorite game for PS1 was Twisted Metal 2.
Yeah, you talked about that in your podcast. Twisted Metal 2. I liked Axel 2, but that was Twisted Metal 2. The first Twisted Metal was, I mean, you had Sweet Tooth.
Thumper was my favorite in that one.
Thumper. But
He had the
Axel
flamethrower.
is the one I remember the most that I played.
Because he did that shockwave.
And it reminded me of Jax of Mortal Kombat because he was also
And I like
black.
Mr. Grimm because he shot that one rocket that did that.
He could also, Mr. Graham also shot like the ghost thing that went out here, like open up my folders right now.
Spectre
Oh,
did that
Spectre
too.
did
He
that.
shot the ghost missile.
Spectre.
Dude, Twisted Metal was a
love that.
legit ass
James
fucking
Bond.
game. I used to play a game that was actually, or I rented it a bunch, was a game where it was like legitimate, where you wreck cars. It was like,
Oh, no, Burn-
Twisted
Burn-
Metal.
Burnout.
Or Twisted
Burnout
Metal.
Destructed Derby, but Twisted Metal, there used to be a Destruction
Yeah,
Derby.
Burnout was a game where you just had that. try to
Number
outwork it.
14 is Super Mario Brothers Original from 1985 on NES. And then number 15 is Wave Race 64, which is another underrated fucking game.
That was a great arcade game.
Wave
where you
Race?
actually got to sit on the actual.
And
It
you go
seemed
back
like
and
you
forth.
were riding on a wave runner.
Dude, I could see them
and played
making
the
a
game.
series of Wave Race 64 if we're going to talk about doing things. You could just create an environment where they were like competing against one another.
Right.
Because I remembered a lot of those, like the Sunset board, and that game was legit. Some of the boards were like inside. You had the submarine down. There was a lot more to that game than just fucking racing.
I remember
Oh,
the
yeah.
game. PlayStation tried to come out with a rival to that, and it was called. It was one of the first games that came out on PS1, and it was like the rival to that. And it was, you weren't driving God dang, I wish I remember.
Was it Ridge Racer or Gran Turismo?
No. Shit, what was that game called? My brother and my uncle, we played it at my uncle's house. He had the first PlayStation 1, I remember.
What's that?
I can't remember what it was freaking called.
All right, we'll just run through these, and if
This
one
is
of them
pretty
picks
quick.
out to you, 16, Super Mario World. That's the game I remember playing the most. As far as
Mario game.
That was the
What
one
was
where
it
he's on
called?
Yoshi's
Super
back.
Mario
World 2?
No, Super
First
Mario
game
World,
Yoshi was introduced.
Yoshi, and he has the cape on his back. It's Super Nintendo for sure.
So that was the fourth
And
game. That was the
SNES.
fourth Mario game ever to come out, I believe.
Yeah. 17 was Tetris Attack. 18 was Yoshi's Island. I never played Yoshi's
Me
Island.
neither.
19 was Chrono Trigger.
Which
Never
is
heard
the
of
one
it.
I would talk about with Secret Man. It was a precursor for that.
20 was Mega Man. I love Mega Man, to be honest with you. I think it was Mega Man X.
I don't remember enough about it.
21 Super Mario RPG.
Super
You can
Mario
play as a platinum character. So that was the only game, and we talked about that on our episode, which was talking about. It was one of the few games made by Square Enix. So the people who made Final Fantasy took Mario's likeliness and made a video game.
And see, this was before I liked RPG. So I remember Mario RPG, and I hated it. But I bet if I went back and played it after playing
Oh, you'd
Final
love
Fantasy
it.
and all
Fucking
that, I
love
would
it.
love it.
Yep.
22 was Castlevania, which y'all kind of talked about. 23. So 23, Donkey Kong Country 3. So Donkey Kong.
That's the one with Baby Kong.
That's the one with Baby Kong.
Because you had Diddy Kong, then you also had the
And I
girl,
think Donkey Kong
Daisy
Country
Kong.
Diddy
and
Kong
Donkey
was
Kong 2
2,
are
I
all
believe,
in
is
this
when she was
list.
released.
So let's
when she
talk
was-
about Donkey Kong for a second. We bought, for the Switch, Donkey Kong 3 Tropical Freeze came out.
Which
for the
is a
Switch.
great fucking game.
So for the Switch, so some of the rarest N60 or the rarest Super Nintendo games, because I looked at all.
What's
of
the one on the board, the surfboard? What's his name?
that's
Funky
two.
Kong.
Yeah.
That might be 3.
Here you go.
When
Here
to
you
the-
go
Tropical
right here.
Freeze is the name.
Donkey Kong 64 is what's in this one. I knew we had one of them in here.
Yeah, but speaking about Donkey Kong Country, so Tropical Freeze came out for the Switch, and some of the rarest games are actually competition games. So
Right.
I guess it's whenever you ran through. So to complete Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, you have to do time trials where you're hooked up online, and you have to beat a certain level to get a DK coin. I started doing this to complete the game, so I used to look up people's fastest routes, and I actually beat almost a third of the game. I've completed a third of Tropical Freeze, beating the time trial.
Right.
Which is not, you are running through the fucking board, running, jumping, rolling, non-stop, and I basically watched it, saw how they did it, and then I would play it over. One of the most best phone games was called Cut the Rope.
I remember it.
Dude,
I played it to get
The
through
only
it.
reason
Cut
you
the
knew about it is
fucking
because I
rope. Yeah,
introduced
great
it to
game.
you, and it was a good shitting game for
It
you.
reminded me, so I use Cut the Rope technology
Seriously.
or thinking.
So I was telling them
for
only for
Donkey-
45 minutes. So it's a great game for you,
For
dude.
I'm saving my shit though for the fucking.
Yes, we gotta save our
spray,
shit.
Right? Save our
Right.
shit. So, but those Donkey Kong games, I never did the super run through time trials on the old games. But when I got the Switch, it was like, damn, this is a whole nother level. Let's just say Mario, you are built to be able to run through the board. It's
Did you not bring up this game?
Worms
right now?
Armageddon.
So Worms. Yes, he brought up this game way earlier.
Worms
It actually happens to be in this book we have. This one is Worms Armageddon. It was out for the Game Boy Color and 64.
It's a turn-based game where you're basically last man standing, whoever wins the game. Now, to your point about Donkey Kong, the one thing that I hated about Donkey Kong was two things. I loved it and I hated it. Minecart levels and swimming levels.
Did you bring up
the
the minecart
minecart
levels?
was so
I love
hard.
the minecart
I
levels.
love
so hard, though.
So on that same Super
hard to get calm.
on the same Super Nintendo, New Year's year before last, we all got drunk. Everybody was at my house, and we turned that motherfucker on.
Which one? Super NES?
This here?
SNES.
Donkey Kong
turned
Y'all
on,
played this
and
right
we played
here?
Donkey Kong Country. Got to the the minecart level, the very first one, and we're trying to jump over the gaps and shit like that. And one of us is filling them one after another.
Is it this game? Oh, y'all played it on this here?
Same one.
Yes.
And I
Super Nintendo
finally
system.
beat it. It was probably about like 3:30 in the fucking morning. I was like, yes, fuck! And then, like screaming at the top of my lungs or whatever, and everybody's just like, woo! Somebody finally beat it. We tried for hours to beat that. I felt so sad because I remember when I was younger, that was something I took immense pride in beating, was the Minecraft levels. Like, that's my specialty.
Hey, but
Dad,
it takes you
don't
to
worry about
another level on Tropical Freeze, the rocket levels.
that. Right.
This one
Where
had
you have to
64 in it.
you have to control the thrust the whole time
Right.
to get the car. That's fucking shitty. It's hard.
Very hard.
Mason loves Donkey Kong. Are one
I
of the
remember
best
just having
scrolling
it in it,
games
but it was
there
64
fucking is.
was the one this one had in there, which was the first game they released
Dude,
on
the
the
boss
64.
fights are on the N64 were fucking brutal.
Yes,
Brutal.
I agree. Let's keep
This
going.
one was Mad Jack. What's the best way to defeat Mad Jack? Which
Yeah,
must have
dude,
been
the
the
boss
main
fights.
guy on 64.
Games that we completed that we brought up. It's not on this list because it hadn't come out yet. Diddy Kong Racing. I've completed the game. There's a whole level where the
Turok.
bad guy comes out and his mouth opens up, and there's a whole nother part
Right.
to the game, and it's complete. Going back to Mario Kart 64, you get the extra, which is the reverse boards, which you don't. It changes the whole
Right.
intro screen.
Flips it.
That's completing the game.
Right.
So I completed that game as well. So once again, completing and beating are two fucking,
totally different.
And like Zelda, Breath of the Wild, you can beat that game and be only 20%.
So,
Yeah.
so
Which Mason was pretty far though. He was like
That-
46%
so
or
Mason
something.
is 46%.
so
of Breath of the
that
Wild.
game
It's pretty good.
outside the DLC, I was at 70.
I beat the DLC.
I was
Did
at
you beat the DLC? You got the
Yes.
motorcycle?
So the only thing I didn't beat was the challenge of the sword, where you get it to where the sword stays glowing all the time.
I didn't either. I got the second level, but I
Hard.
could not. Dude, you got to go through and not
Hard.
die.
You do not die.
Very
It's
fucking
fucking
hard.
very.
I
fucking
spent too many fucking days practicing.
I know.
Pretty sure that's why I probably don't teach your white house homework because I kept playing in the middle of fucking class.
Yeah, and
'Cause
I was just like,
addicted.
No, we're playing Rayman is what
I
we're
guess your
playing.
point is I was
yeah.
like Rayman Legends.
We played Rayman Legends like
We've
it
almost
was
completed that game. We're,
We're
like,
we're like
20
80 we're at 84% is where
Rayman
we're at.
Legends is ranked as like the #1 all-time couch co-op game.
Dude,
And
you're
it-
not kidding.
And Overcooked was like #2. So like when I saw Rayman and I played it, I was just like, I get it, but I need to play someone who's comparable with me. So if I played
Tyler
with
was
Steve,
very
if I-
good at that game.
If I played it with Steven, it'd probably be one thing, but playing with my wife or somebody else who doesn't play video games on a regular basis,
It's a waste of a turn.
waste of a turn.
Tyler was very good at that game.
So Overcooked, you guys were doing absolutely fine. I would love to play a game with you because it's just
Overcooked.
Because
That's the game I was
basically
thinking
was
of.
like, hey man, you're the fucking sous chef. You cook the rice, you cook the meat, and I'll wrap all the shit up and serve it. And then you just kind of go back and forth. If you don't have a team orchestrated strategy, you're fucked in the game.
All right, let's keep going. We'll just
Yeah,
stop
go
at
ahead.
games we know. 24 F-Zero for Super NES. You
Never
played
heard of
racing
it.
Never played it. It reminds me of
Is that
movie-
Falcon?
It's F-Zero. It's just they're throwing this like IndyCar racing. It reminds me of the movie where they're in the video game. It's got Prince,
Tron?
Prince
Mac
Candy.
Racer.
No, Prince Candy. It's,
Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph. It's like
Oh,
the racing
okay,
game, right?
gotcha.
It's where the bad guy came from.
But it's kind of like Mock Racer.
Yes.
Me remember
I
Mock
don't
Racer?
remember
Like,
his
it's,
name.
yeah,
like
can't remember his name either. But 25, Kyle never played this game. Never even heard of it. I don't think we were talking about it. But Turok Dinosaur Hunter.
No,
Yeah,
see, I
very
remember Turok, but
N64 came back out on Xbox.
It was a huge
uh,
deal.
the only reason I remember Turok is because y'all remember
Exploding arrows
Media
were the
Play.
shit.
I remember Media Play in Rivergate, which was where Goodwill is now.
Circuit
It was
City and
like,
all that, yeah.
yeah, it was sort of like a Best Buy, but not Best Buy.
Media
and back
Play?
in the day, Media Play.
Yeah, hell
and
yeah.
they used to have the
We're
Turok
talking about
demo
CDs.
there. Yeah, it was
CD,
CD
yeah.
time. I remember a time where they used to have like 15.
Now it's a Goodwill.
Not even HD televisions, but they had like 15 televisions together, and they would show the Star Wars re-releases on these 15
You could
televisions.
turn the volume way fucking up in there.
Exactly. But they would play the whole movie,
Oh, you know
and
what?
each little part of the movie would be on these 15 televisions. It was nowhere near HD, but they would be playing it like widescreen on 15 televisions at one time. 40-Year-Old Virgin is a great movie where they're doing the same thing, but they're playing.
Man on Lantern.
What's the guy? What's
Steve Carell.
Yeah, Steve Carell's the main actor, but who's the song? They're always playing Ain't no mountain high enough. What's the main singer
I
of
don't
that?
know.
He's a white guy with a. God dang, I'm looking it up.
The Meatloaf?
No. Fight Club, Meatloaf, Bitch Tits, the only thing I can
Bitch
think of
Tits.
is there.
Super Bomberman 2 is 26. I only played Bomberman 64.
64. Bomberman
have
64
it.
was great,
I have
man.
it.
The multiplayer was great.
27 International Soccer Superstar Soccer
the game.
64.
Keep
Never
going.
remember. 28 NBA Jam. He's heating up.
He's
Yeah,
heating
yeah.
up! Slam
where
dunk!
where I remember NBA Jam from is
Hey,
it
now-
wasn't called Just for Feet, but it was called
Foot Locker.
no. What was the other?
Had a
Well,
basketball
we
on
talked
it.
about
What was the other place in Rivergate? It was a shoe store. It had like pop and
Foot Locker,
shot game.
man.
No, it wasn't. No. Just for
Locker
feet
had
had the basketball going there. But this place, it was called Shoe Carnival.
Shoe Carnival.
Shoe
You could spin
Carnival.
the wheel.
Shoe Carnival used to have the spin wheel. It used to have the pop and shot. But
Shoe
it
Carnival
always,
was
it
sports
also.
seasons. It was like that too.
Shoe Carnival used to have the NBA Jam game. It was the first time I ever played that game. Was
Now-
at Shoe Carnival in Rivergate.
Now it's funny. You mentioned
You know it's missing Michael Jordan, the game you're talking
No,
about.
But they couldn't pay him enough.
What is the game where a white guy plays
Michael McDonald
Jordan?
plays the white guy that sings. Hey, no, he doesn't play him, but that's the
But
guy
what
that
is
sings
the
it.
game where Michael Jordan is a white guy?
That's like NBA Live '97 or something like that.
We talked about the Michael Jordan game because he has the ice ball and the fireball. He dribbles and shit like that going on SNES, and then also Shaq Fu.
Shaq Fu was like a Mortal Kombat style game,
yes.
but different.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
it was just like Golden Axe. It was just like Golden Axe.
It was like Killer Instinct.
Oh no, he's ripped one of his Nintendo powers, now worth $0.
Yeah.
Anyway, Shaq Fu was very similar to the game Golden Axe,
Fu,
if you
you gotta be
remember.
fucking kidding
But
me.
you also had to do fight scenes. Like my dad bought it for Sega Genesis.
I rented it once.
My dad owns it. I gotta bring all those old games when my brother comes. So my brother's gonna record this here soon, and dude, we played some games. There was a game called Toe Jam and Earl. They now have
Oh, dude, fucking
one
great
of the
game.
best
fucking
fucking
great, man.
games.
Toe Jam
Two-player.
and Earl.
I was hoping
forgot
you and
about
your
that
brother
game.
played that game.
Great game.
I'm pretty sure it was
Yes.
Sega and Super Nintendo, but you were like this big, fat, heavy set starfish guy, sort of like what's his name from SpongeBob?
Patrick.
He was like Patrick Star, but he was a yellow guy, and the other guy was sort of like what I assumed to be like a crawfish type character, or maybe a shrimp type character.
Yeah.
He was red. He was red, and that was Toe Jam, and the big guy was Earl. And they have a remake on the
forgot
Switch.
about that
They have a
shit.
remake on the Switch right now. It's like $14. I haven't bought it, but me and my brother played the shit out of that game on Sega Genesis.
29 Mario Paint, never played it.
Never played
No,
it either.
never.
30 Tecmo Bowl, never played it.
Classic.
I definitely played Tecmo Bowl.
Classic. SNES.
Is that where you had the different discs and you put them in, or
so
is that
right
before?
there,
I had it for
that
Sega
game
Genesis,
right
so it's
there.
one cartridge.
They used to make fun of that game because Bo Jackson was fucking ridiculous
On the Raiders.
On the Raiders,
Unbelievable.
And if you play Barry Sanders with the Lions, fucking
And
ridiculous.
Brett Favre was in
Brett Favre
his
was
second
incredible.
year at
Is
Green
it
Bay. He
left
could
to
throw it
right?
forever.
Is the left to right
Left to
side
right
scroll
game.
football game. This is like Madden in its most primitive form.
31
That's
is
the
Punch
best way
Out.
to describe it. Punch Out, Mike Tyson, great.
This
fucking
isn't Mike
game.
Tyson. This is
Now,
the
now,
NES.
Punch Out, the
Just
first-
regular
The first one did not have Mike
Not as
Tyson.
good.
You're right.
Super Punch Out for the SNES
Was much better.
Fucking great on this console. Great.
This one here.
Fucking
Correct.
great.
This
game.
console right here is
One of
like
the best I've ever
fucking-
made.
It's great.
I
since
showed you the
SNES.
Three Ninjas Kickback game my dad has
If you
at his
ain't-
house.
Your entire life, and you ain't fucking live.
So I gotta tell you,
It's
Levi.
taking the Q-tip and the alcohol and then blowing that shit out. That's what that shit is right
So-
there.
Let me put a little liquid blow on this motherfucker.
So we didn't share this with my dad's podcast, but after my dad's podcast, we went upstairs, and my dad has the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 1,
All hooked up.
Sega Genesis, SNES, original Nintendo, all plugged up upstairs at his house. So he has all these games from when we were kids. Like me and my brother, y'all are a little bit below us, but Three Ninjas.
Dude, Colt, motherfucking
Dude,
Rocky.
so the second
Tum
Three
Tum,
Ninjas, there was a
motherfucking that
side
Three
If I have
scroller.
another son, his ass is named Colt.
So you might remember this. My
Colt
dad.
Bugs, motherfucker.
My dad bought
Hey.
a Super Nintendo one time and had the game Hook.
So-
you talked about the Hook.
He
about
has
Hook.
Three Ninjas for Sega
Hey,
Genesis.
I had
So-
Three Ninjas
so-
Kickback and Hook for the Super Nintendo.
Hook,
The Super Nintendo is what I have them for.
Goonies and Hook, two of my favorite childhood favorite movies. Now I will tell you one thing.
Goonies right over
Right
here.
here.
It's over here, Kyle. Kyle,
great.
Goonies is right here.
Oh, it's right here. Yes, I was looking for it.
Hook is over there.
Yeah, great fucking movie.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see this.
Actually, I don't
fuck
know.
you if you can't. This is Chunk right here, also about to get his hand.
Good shuffle, motherfucker. So
Cody Fitzgerald could do that shuffle, boys.
I love Cody
Me too.
Fitzgerald.
He's incredible, man.
Terrapin Care Center, Colorado. Go see the guy.
Let's continue with the list.
Anyways,
32 is Super Mario Kart for N64.
Great game.
great game.
One of
The
it's
Ghost,
like a-
Bananas, the whole nine.
The
yards,
only
fucking
game I think
great.
had to compare to it is the Mario Kart on
64.
the Switch. Well, I think on the Switch is
Switch.
the only one that compared to the 64
But this
because
is-
it's got so many of the
This
levels.
is for Super Nintendo.
97,
32.
Oh, that's it. That's
Mario
before
Kart
that.
64 was number 4, but 32
Yes, I
is Super
remember
Mario Kart.
Right.
Rainbow Road, you could fall
I remember
off
it.
so fucking
I remember that was
easy.
the
One of
first
hardest
one with
ones.
Rainbow
So
Road.
hard.
You could fall off.
That's what I love about this Mario Kart 8 for the Switch. It's one, everything's unlocked, but all the different Rainbow Roads is fucking one of the best games.
It's
Super
got
Mario
every.
Kart 8 is one of the best
I
games.
think it
Best
has
games,
every
yeah.
Rainbow Road that's ever been on any game. I think it's on Super Mario or on Mario Kart 8.
It's one of the best fucking Super Mario Kart 8 for the Switch is one of the best games there is. It's already unlocked. Everybody's unlocked.
Well, you've unlocked all of them.
No, for the Switch, everyone is already unlocked. When you play for the Wii, you have to unlock everyone.
But on the Switch, you've unlocked Metal Mario, Gold Mario. You've unlocked a lot of them that
I got-
weren't
I
unlocked
I've
on
got the
mine.
golden. I
Tyler's
just don't have
unlocked
the cart.
most of them. The only
Rose
one you haven't
Gold
unlocked is the
Peach.
Time Trials.
The time trials is the cart. I have the wheels, the flying thing, and the guy.
Tyler's
Mason.
unlocked everything but the Time Trials.
I
And
played
it's
the-
with
I
help
played-
from his 8-year-old, which is
I have
unbelievable.
3 gold stars at 50, 100, 150, and
The 100cc, which
He's
much
unreal at
much
it.
harder than it used to be.
200 is fucking.
The only reason I learned how to play the game is because Tyler was beating my ass.
Brake
Right.
in Mario Kart.
Right.
You have to use the brake for
You
200
have to.
cc. You
Have to.
It's unbelievable.
It's
That's
fucking crazy.
the only game that I can remember besides Madden with Michael Vick that Tyler beat my fucking ass at for a while
dude.
was Mario Kart 8. And until I learned how to drift on that game is the only time I started being able to compete with you.
I played with a guy who actually was one of the top time trials people. Probably sent his name, and I probably
On
didn't know his
8?
name. No, for Mario Kart 64. I played him one time. You know, I was pretty.
But
good
you
at
were really
video
good at
games.
one of the FIFAs too.
One of them I was ranked in the weekly rankings in top
I remember
100. I
it
played
was
over
like
150
2014 or
games.
something like that.
Yeah, and I played on a projection screen in my bonus room. It was fucking huge. The guys were like this fucking big.
So it might have
never
been
got to that
11
level.
then.
I never got to that
It's
level,
like
but
FIFA before it started ended up being the
just
US.
out of curiosity, with FIFA or whatever, what was the team you played as?
I played as
You go EPL?
My best team was Cristiano Ronaldo's team, whoever he was.
Man
playing for.
United.
U during that time.
Yeah.
Probably, maybe.
No, but
No, but we played
Real-
national teams. I
Real
played as
Madrid.
Portugal.
No,
we played
that's
as
not your best team though. Your best team was
Real Madrid. Was
Real Madrid
Cristiano
was Tyler's best team.
At
Cristiano
the time as
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes.
Tyler was unstoppable
Let's
with that
go.
team.
Okay.
33. I'm pretty good at playing.
I
games
think
at 30.
I haven't seen you play FIFA, but I assume you're pretty.
I was in the
fucking
top
good at
100
it.
at one time. I played over 150 games in 1 week, and I was like
So-
145.
But when you had that
For
projection
one,
screen, it was it was unfair. This guy could play Guitar Hero. What was the hardest level on Guitar Hero?
No, I played expert, but I also played hyperspeed expert.
Me too.
But it was
which
bullshit.
I love because you go down.
But Tyler had this projection
Hey,
screen, and it was almost like a half second
so-
slower. It was almost cheating.
I would say right now,
Projection screen was cheating.
like I was great at that, but Chad's wife smoked me perfect on like the hardest.
So
fucking
here's
song.
who I didn't go to
A
school
guy
with
from college, I used
Chad,
to have
but I went to
competitions.
school with Chad's sisters.
And,
They were a
Ollie
senior.
and Heather.
They were
Yeah.
seniors my freshman year.
Right.
So I don't remember Chad, but for whatever reason, I remember that guy working in produce at Al's Food Value. I don't know why I remember
He
that
did.
about him, but that's the only memory I have of him besides Whiskey Bros podcast.
I remember his sisters.
weird.
I remember his sisters.
I remember his sisters. One of
At
them was a
Cat Video.
cheerleader, I
At
believe.
Cat Video.
That's
What's her last name?
Dude, you just nailed
What's
it.
her last name?
Garrett.
Garrett. Holly and
Holly-
Heather Garrett.
Holly.
Oh, he's sisters to the twins?
Yeah.
One of them's married
One of
now,
them-
and the other one's not.
One
One's
of them was a
teacher.
cheerleader.
Yeah. The
Holly and Heather Garrett.
100%.
Yeah, so
That is his the
the
funny
that's his
motherfucker.
sister?
Yeah, the
Yes.
teacher had told me that she was friends with you and Emily, and I was just like, well, that's cool shit.
Well,
So-
because baseball. It's because of
Baseball.
Little League baseball. Is how they
Right.
know him.
And field
Yes.
trips.
and just
shit like that.
teachership. Yeah.
Like we've been to the zoo.
So it's
Like,
weird.
Your wife goes on all those trips.
It's
I-
weird.
I
I,
wouldn't go
love
last time,
Chad.
yeah.
I love Chad.
We never
because
answered
he's-
that. So were you and your wife together before the relationship with Trey or after?
After.
After. Yeah.
So you started banging your friend's
He-
wife?
not
I mean,
Trey,
your friend's
Troy.
sister. Troy.
So actually, it's a funny story.
I don't
so
mean to say it like that. but
no,
Banging
no, no.
his
So,
sister.
so actually, in all actuality, I started dating Amanda when we were in middle school or whatever. And actually, on a school bus, I picked on her or whatever. I said, like, literally, it's embarrassing, but I basically said, she, light hits you a certain way. You got a fucking mustache. And she broke up with me after a couple weeks. Saw her at a high school football
is
game.
great.
I saw her at a high school football game, and I was just like, holy shit, I want a second chance at that shit right there.
You just
Give me
went
my
for it?
second
And went
chance,
for
baby.
it.
Hell yeah.
And then
Never turn back.
had people get us hooked up on AOL Instant Messenger. I was like, hey, I'm
The
so
best
sorry.
place
I
to
said
find
you got a fucking
females.
mustache.
Found my wife cheating
Yeah.
at me, baby.
Well,
Yeah.
see, I found
Away messages.
Me and my
Right.
wife got together. We knew each other sort of in high school. I was
I
a
got a
senior. She
piss.
was a freshman. That's
Oh,
fine.
you're good, man.
But we found each other through Facebook Messenger is how me and my wife got together.
Right.
But shit, I just had a thought in my brain to go to with you and your wife.
Well, I mean, you guys are not. You're high school sweethearts, but sort of, kind of.
Not really. We dated. So Erica's the oldest. Besides, there's like one other dude that's older than her in her grade.
Right.
So she was older than everyone else in her grade. So I started dating her when she was 18, but she was still a senior in high school.
Right.
So I dated her. Amanda was a year younger than you.
Yeah, Amanda
Y'all
was
started dating in
89.
your freshman year or sophomore? She was an 8th grader.
So your wife was the same grade as my wife.
A year below, actually.
Was it a year below?
Yeah, Emily, Tyler's wife, is the same age as
Yeah, that's
Amanda.
right. That's right.
Correct. So y'all started dating when you were in 9th grade, or she was in? You were in 9th grade. She was in 8th grade.
I was a sophomore. She was.
So y'all been together for a long fucking time.
Yes.
Holy shit.
16 years.
That's crazy to think about that. But the same thing, like, I'm married to a girl that went to White House. She didn't move to White House until I think 3rd grade is when I started going to White House. But when we went to the same school. Tyler is married to someone that went to the same school as, and you
Graduated same class as mine.
You are still with the same person you've been with since you were
Right.
15 years old.
Right. Exactly.
That's crazy. That's
Which is
awesome,
crazy.
honestly. But
Now,
Yeah,
now,
it's cool.
no, there's a funny story to that too, because the first time I met TJ or whatever, he's like, "Have you heard the song Leviticus Fag?" And I'm just like, no.
dude, I'll be honest with you. Him and
Chad,
are who got me back into Rage Against the Machine.
dude,
I
so
swear to
fucking
God, I was not that big. I started sending videos to Tyler and them here recently because it's like, guys, if y'all are worried about what's going on in this world right now, the lead singer of Rage has been warning us for fucking 20 plus years about what's going on right now.
He's like a savant, though. I think he's like IQ of
He's
a
so
genius or
smart.
something,
Now, I would
right?
say right now, if y'all like some rap music, Zach De La Roca
I love rap music.
collaborates with Run the Jewels quite a bit.
Dude, I looked it up
Fucking
already.
great, man.
I've already looked it up
So
because of
fucking
y'all's
great.
podcast.
Yeah, right.
It's so good.
So
man.
good, man.
And
So
you would
good.
not expect that. Hey,
LP
this
and
is
Killer
the guy.
Mike,
This
man.
is the guy from Rage. in
Right.
here. You would never expect it at all. Tyler, you would love it because Tyler is the type of guy that likes an interesting style of music. Like
Me?
I start playing music and I'm playing like CCR and all these shit from the 40s, 50s, 60s that my dad listens to. And Tyler's like,
Creedence Clearwater Revival.
exactly.
I got
So
you.
Tyler's like, what the fuck are we listening to right now? And then I'd start checking on like 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s R&B, and Tyler's like, oh, this is my shit right here.
Yeah.
And he would, I'm telling you, the shit that what's his name from Rage?
Zach De La Roca.
The shit that I'm telling you, the hip hop
man.
shit that he is in,
Well,
you would be all about Tyler.
I know that, but man, well, like The Matrix, like that's the track you.
So I'm scared to rewatch The Matrix.
Killing in the name of.
Yeah, hell yeah. I
Right,
know.
right.
Here's the deal.
I remember the video, and it's
If
like
you-
the.
so
it's
they're
like a
remaking
concert.
Matrix right now. That's happening
Matrix
also.
4, right?
That's happening.
Is
If
it
you-
really?
It is
Matrix
happening
4 is happening.
with
Holy
Keanu,
shit.
Mortal Kombat
with all
coming
the
out.
original,
Well, so who's in
people.
Mortal Kombat? Now, Keanu Reeves, I could get on board. I don't care how
Well,
bad.
after
that
John
show
Wick,
is.
he's sort of untouchable
Yeah.
because they made 3 of them, and from what I
Now, I
understand,
thought-
I've only watched the first one. I'll
This
be
new
honest with
movie
you.
is the movie where
Bill
it's
and Ted,
like
right?
No,
Bill
it's,
and Ted's the one coming out.
Bill
Yes,
and
that
Ted,
looks
yeah,
fucking
yeah, we were talking
awesome, by
about
the way.
Is it?
all right,
It
let's go
looks
back to our
awesome.
list, and then we'll keep going on movies. We can go to movies. I'll talk all fucking night. I was up last night till 3:30 on fucking.
Right, he's
crazy
on
shit.
right now.
Yeah,
I
he's
haven't
on Twitch.
opened it, but
Yeah, we
he's
can open
on.
it. I downloaded Twitch, and we know if I download an app on my fucking ancient ass phone, that's just the real.
So
deal.
let me say this. So y'all went to school together. Y'all were in school together from kindergarten
Long time, yeah.
until you graduated high school,
Yeah,
which
pretty
is
much.
fucking cool. Like we grew up in a area where a lot of the people we know from when we were 6 years old, like one of my best friends now is still Tyrone Payne. He is a black guy. And like with the most recent shit that's going on, like me and him have had some what I feel important conversations about how me and him have never seen color. We've been friends since the fucking first grade, have never seen it. But like you said, you were in first or kindergarten with Vincent Jones,
right.
and then you got held back in kindergarten
Right.
or whatever they did.
Well,
Held
it's-
it back.
yeah.
You're really in
But
your
like
grade.
correct, he's in my grade. He should really be in my grade. But that being said, like in our town where we grew up, which we've talked about it multiple times, we can say it, White House, Tennessee, is a small town And a lot of people in our age group, we may not know each other personally, like we see each other often. Like you're not on social media anymore.
Right.
But through your podcast, I told Tyler, I was like, dude, I've got plenty to talk about with this guy
We've
because
been
I
talking
just
for no
know.
telling how fucking long tonight.
Dude, we have. We've been talking about
It
this
reminds
podcast
me
and
of
you
the
for
Joe
a
Rogan
while.
podcast. I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast over 5 hours. Where
I didn't need notes tonight.
I'll just show you.
I'll just show you to give example. This is podcast 1. Decent, not a lot of notes, but enough to talk about. 2, 3, pretty short. 4, I've had notes on notes on notes, and this is tonight's. My only note is, honey, I blew up the kids. That is my only note because I feel like I've listened to y'all's podcast enough that I know enough. Well, like we're in video games right now, and we're gonna keep going. But like,
I'm not gonna lie. Like so like for this episode, I looked up Bruce Willis. I don't have it wrote down here, but I watched all the pay-per-view fights for UFC. Which, by the way,
we ain't even talk about UFC.
But I don't want to talk about UFC until we go on their show because I want to talk to TJ about that.
TJ's gonna know more about that.
Speaking of that, I don't mean to talk about it on the podcast.
But TJ's also fought twice as a fighter.
Were you thinking this month? Were you wanting us on there this month?
So the 31st is the date that we're
That's 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from yesterday.
No,
2 weeks from right now, actually.
Well, the reason why that's kind of happening right now is Chad's got a family vacation where he's going to Florida, kind of like you just did. And then there's a couple things, final semester for a couple different learning things for both of these guys.
So he's in college again, correct?
That's correct. So they're kind of working towards that. It'll be the 31st or later, but we're going to stream a couple episodes together. I already kind of put it out there. I want you guys on the podcast 100%.
When they do it live, I don't know if y'all, we've talked about these guys.
Because I would love for it to time up in the fact that like we post this and then we would be on your podcast. And I would just post y'all's podcast on ours.
Because you guys do it weekly, you will probably have another episode before we get to
which may be our video game.
Which would be video games or something like that if you guys want to take a break or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But cannot wait to have you guys on the podcast.
I've been one of the first things I ever told Tyler, man, one of the first things ever is like, dude, if we can get to the point that we can go beyond the Whiskey Bros, we're to the point where I wanted to be. And not because y'all had a shit ton of followers or anything like that, but y'all were the podcast that made me feel like, dude, Tyler, me and you can sit in our garage and we can do what these guys are doing, man. We can do the same thing. And I've been dying. Like our friend Tyler Myers, I know him and TJ or Troy, whatever you want to call him, have been talking back and forth, sort of just, dude, I like your podcast. We've been talking about different shit. And Troy's been hitting up Tyler like, dude, you need to come on with us. And we've been trying so hard for Tyler Myers to come on here because he's a country motherfucker.
He's got some dabbling things I would love to talk about.
Now, Tom Ma is one of the few guys we
that
got
has a shirt.
That actually has a shirt, has the whole 9 yards. I actually talked to TJ or whatever.
His is cut off.
Of course. Now, I will tell you guys, you come on our podcast, you're getting the swag, you're getting the whole 9 yards, you guys get the shirt and all that kind of stuff.
We're coming.
We're coming. I just didn't know the date that we're coming because I would love to time it up with it. Even if this breaks into 2 parts.
Totally fine.
And it times into it and do like a.
Sure.
I've seen
so what you're
just
saying is y'all's next Friday is Chad's going to be out of town.
Right. So 31st is the
that
date.
Would be perfect.
So what day is the 31st?
That's 2 Fridays from now.
Friday. It's the last day of school registration for the 4th graders, actually. And that's it. But we've also done a couple episodes where we did like a Sunday episode with like a Bloody Mary episode. We poured out some vodka and some Bloody Marys and kind of.
We're ready to drink at whatever time.
Oh man,
this is Tyler Myers in Florida. I'm gonna show him real quick.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man! I haven't seen him in
last week rocking
wearing the same fucking shirt. Oh god,
yeah, man.
So I'm telling you, this guy was the one who sort of.
He listens to our. When you texted me and said you wanted to listen to our podcast, and I forgot that I had actually put it for scheduled at 6 o'clock because I'm trying to do Friday night, so we have it for the weekend. Tyler Myers, to be honest with you, he puts more pressure on me to get it done than fucking
because he usually texts us.
Right.
Yeah, he usually texts us on Friday night. And he says,
so he's got to have it.
And he texts us Friday and usually says, "Are y'all recording tonight?" And I'll usually be like, "Yes." And then his next response is usually, "What did y'all talk about?" And I'm usually like, I don't remember. I have no idea what we talked about. But it will be out tomorrow because we were recording on Friday nights and then putting it out Saturday mornings.
And we've been doing Friday nights for our podcast for.
I love y'all's. I've usually had y'all going live while me and Tyler are sitting here recording, and I'm not listening, but I at least have a viewer for y'all sitting here.
Hey, y'all's last two videos though have come up.
Right.
I feel like, I don't know if he's doing something different or if it
changed a little bit.
A lot of people don't know this that are listening to this will know this, but we have not actually shared our podcast on our personal social media pages one time.
Right. I've shared it. No, that's not true. I have shared it one time on Twitter.
But as far as Facebook goes, where I have thousands of people that I know and friends.
And I have over 700 friends.
And he wanted, and this is really his baby. Right. And this is
my idea.
Yeah, his
more
idea.
than anything.
He wanted to have a catalog where people would go back. And
before we shared it to people we know, I wanted to have a catalog. So
to me, the Whiskey Bros podcast, when we come out, and then obviously we'll have this podcast, and you'll probably share it to your friends.
Oh,
or
absolutely.
Your friends.
Which I just put
up. This is kind of like our coming out month. And when we come on Whiskey Brothers podcast, and I hope you're okay with this, I've seen like simul podcasts. Like if he can send me the video, I will post it on ours.
Oh,
the
absolutely.
Same video.
Yeah. So
and it'll be like a simulcast, and that'll kind of be. I don't know if he's okay with this or not, but we have 10 or 11 episodes behind it.
Right.
And at that point in time, you know how a circle disintegrates out. We have our close knit of friends and all this
right.
stuff, but we wanted it to be something that sounded decent,
right,
and was pretty good, and you could go back and watch a few of them before we tried to reach our intermediate friends.
Right, absolutely. So like the biggest thing, like when I even looked, you know, before I even knew you guys existed, was like the biggest way to get your podcast to grow was cross promotion, and you guys being local guys. Talking about the same shit, going to the same school, dabbling on a bunch of shit, fucking great.
I know, I loved it because he was like, because we were like, whenever Tyler first texted us, and there was like a day's gap in between before you text us, he explained to me, it was like, it's really, and I don't mean to say it anyway, but you are the host of the Whiskey Bros podcast.
That's as it seems.
We didn't know who was going to come.
Right.
And it turned out to be perfect that you were coming first because, you know, and we still haven't really gone into girl dad versus boy dad.
Well, because Troy and they're the same age, correct?
Yes. Yeah, so
they graduated a year before I got into high school, so I don't know them at all.
Well, no, a couple of years. So Chad just turned 38, and TJ just turned 37. So the big deal with them is Chad's got two girls, and so he's got all girls. TJ's got all girls and one boy. So between us,
his newest kid is a boy.
So how blended is TJ? And this is something I want to
all of his kids are with his first wife.
We have
correct.
All his kids are with his first.
Because see, Levi, I have a unique situation. I have a yours, or mine, yours, and ours.
Right.
It's a very unique.
But Troy, all of his kids are with his original wife.
Same one. Nah, when he got married, he had a fourth kid.
And I want to bring it up on their podcast because I haven't had it yet. But I would, and I hope that it's going to be an agenda point or something. But I've got to ask Troy about the Vaz Deferens clipping because it's.
No,
they've talked about it a few times.
Yeah, no. So me and Chad are already talking about like doing a tandem dick doctor visit, getting snipped.
March Madness is when I've been told to do it.
That's the perfect time to do it, probably.
We looked around November, December, but COVID was kind of in the fringe at that point, and then all of that, but. Basically, everybody's deductible was met at that point, so me and him were just like, well, fuck, we're screwed. Nobody's taking an appointment for the end of the year. The coronavirus hit at the beginning of the year. So as soon as the dick doctor's available, I'm going to go get snipped.
Are you going to go to like the urinary specialist downtown? Desari is the person who
I don't know.
So I saw his
dad. So this is
I plan on never getting fixed my whole life.
I don't know like
honestly,
your life situation. Are your grandparents still alive?
Yes.
How old are your grandparents?
So actually, my great grandparents lived for a long time.
Oh, shit.
Both my great grandmothers lived to 98.
See,
how old are your how is your
all my grandparents are still alive. My my grandmother on my mom's side is 76 years old, and the grandmother on my dad's side is
similar.
So I'm gonna put this into perspective. So you know my dad just from passing of use.
Yeah, he's an older guy.
He is 75 years old. My dad is. So later in life. So we talked about this on previous podcasts. So my dad really probably wasn't into 80s and 90s movies. He was more into 70s. So I got what I chose. I didn't get an influence on those late 80s, early 90s movies.
But
I was late on the Goonies.
I truly did. The only reason I ever knew about No Country for Old Men is because your dad had read the book and then watched
My
the
dad
movie.
is a reader. My dad's mine. And
Your dad had
we're
read
trying
the
to get my
movie.
dad on here. He doesn't agree to the video. But, like, I want to go through my dad's...
He lived through a lot of shit.
He lived through so much shit. Like, when I asked my dad, hey, have you ever had a coronavirus where you have to go inside? He said, yeah. But when I went through it with polio, which is 30% death rate, and, you know, he said, when I went through with polio, my dad is the only person that worked. So no one else had to leave. My dad had a friend when he was 9 years old, 1953. 9 years old, he would visit his friend in an iron lung in his house.
What?
Yes.
Which is what Tweety Bird was in the movie Space Jam.
No, not Iron Mask. We're talking about an iron lung.
Remember the movie Space Jam?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When Tweety Bird is in that big ass
with a big metal thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
A
That is an iron
9-year-old
lung.
kid is in the iron lung that is his friend in his neighborhood. So they quarantined already. So in my head, when I started thinking about it, why is everyone going inside? Well, if I asked my dad or my grandparent, have y'all ever had to go inside? Hell yeah, we did, because polio will fucking kill you.
Yeah, we didn't have the technology and
you
science.
will be in an iron fucking lung. You will be dead as fuck. So in my head,
We will have Joe Welch on here.
Yeah,
Video
so yes,
or audio, one or the
He told
other.
me the story the first time he ever saw a fucking TV. And when he first saw a TV was walking down the street, but when he got a TV
Elvis
in his
Presley's
house,
type age?
the first thing his dad told him when they got a TV in the house was guess what, guys? Y'all ain't going to the fucking drive-in no more. Or y'all ain't going to the movies no more.
It was probably
Y'all
drive-in.
Dude, it is great. So I want to do like something where we go through just like big events in each
That he lived
decade
during.
that he
Right,
lived through.
right.
Be perfect.
Which would be legit. To
It
have
would
him
be
on
very
here.
good. For dabbling dads, I mean, we've had my dad who knew like 80s and 90s Batman, but your dad is...
My dad has read so
my
many
My dad
fictional
will be
books.
60 next year, so your dad is 13 years older than my dad.
I'm gonna tell y'all a crazy fucking fact that I had a hard time wrapping my brain around because we all grew up in conservative situations, sort of.
Pretty,
Right?
pretty
So
as
my
close as you
dad
can get
is
to
not that
conservative.
conservative, but in that aspect, he was old school
Yeah.
in terms of different things.
Discipline and that type of
Discipline
shit.
Right,
and
right.
interest and stuff like that, which was very just interesting. And see, I didn't have any brothers or sisters or nothing like that, so like I wanted as many kids as possible because I didn't have nobody to fucking play. I played with my fucking
Right.
mom.
Yeah.
Right.
And your friends once you got to high school and older, like
That's
me and
it.
Mike Travis and Andrew Taylor was probably another one that was in there, but
Yeah, like
not
my
very
mom.
many.
I mean, we say Uncle Tukey all the time. Like my kids literally
Yeah.
call him Uncle Tukey.
I forgot that was. I actually
Tukey.
tell
Dude,
my
let
dad,
me show you something
I told my
crazy
dad
real
about
quick.
I called you Tukey.
I got that tattooed on me when I was 18 years old, like a fucking idiot, and it is still on me.
I
to
was
this
wondering what
day.
that tattoo was. I thought it might be
is
your wife's
Tukey.
name.
It is
but
Tukey. I have that tattoo. I have this one I got when I was 19, which is like a cross and family, and then I have the Star Wars, which is
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's fucking see.
which is Empire Strikes Back,
Yeah, look at this, Levi.
Oh, let's see.
which is like.
Oh no, that's a great tattoo. That's
Yeah,
there's nothing
I
wrong
got
with
that one. I got that one when I turned 30. I knew I wanted a tattoo, and like it was like, you know, I grew up watching a lot of Star Wars. Empire Strikes Back was probably the one that had the biggest impact on me, mainly because it shows where Darth Vader, admitted that, hey, I am your father type deal, and it was
Not
almost,
Luke, I am your father, but just
No,
did you see
I-
all the Mandela Effect
Right.
movies? That was
Right.
did you know any of those
So-
movies?
No.
When he
So-
said
so a lot of the
the
people-
ET phone home blew my fucking
it did.
mind.
And Erica watched it on Netflix recently with the boys. I showed Canon ET up to the point where they fly on the bike, and then I turned it off.
That's my main
because I'm not
memory of
trying to
Disney.
because I'm not trying
Really?
to.
of the ride where you're on the bike. And
Yeah,
it's like
well, he
you
dies.
jump in.
Well, pretty much dies. I didn't want to scar my child, who's 4 years old, but like my son has been watching The Force Awakens and different shit his whole life. He's been talking since you guys.
Hey, I gotta brag on him because we are gonna do a dabble where we're going to interview our kids for 15 minutes of things they're good at.
Great, God.
Which is
Should be
going to be
cool
awesome,
concept.
I think.
Yeah, great.
But his son can name movie songs and name the
See a music song,
Really?
like
Tell me an example of the Toy
mainly
Story, real
Pixar,
quick.
mainly
Toy Story.
Pixar
It's
movies,
incredible.
because that's what I sort of raised him on. When he was young, like 2 years old, the movie that had just come out was The Lorax, which is a DreamWorks, I think,
Hey,
movie.
air in a bottle.
Huh?
Air in a bottle.
Which is not so far-fetched from what's going on right now. Regardless, that was the first movie I ever watched, like, repetitively. Right after that, The Force Awakens came out, and I watched the shit out of The Force Awakens. So he knows some Star Wars shit. For a young age, he knows a lot of Star Wars
He knows
shit.
He knows all the characters.
But as far as Pixar movies go, he can listen to a song and tell you what scene from what movie it is from. Which is impressive as shit for a 4-year-old.
So let's go there. We're on number 32, which is fine. But let's go there real quick because we haven't done it yet.
What was 32? We're way...
32,
we don't have to go any further in the list for a 32.
32 was Super Mario Kart. Then it's like Donkey Kong, all the Metroids, the Final Fantasies, Pilot Wings 64. Did you ever play that?
I do remember it. It was an actual the only reason I remember it is because Daniel Brooks again. They had the 64 and they had it, but it was like a flight simulation type game.
So
that was.
The next movie is 41, and we've talked about this before, and I have the game.
41?
Star Wars 41. Star Wars Shadows of the Empire has one of the best levels of any games I've ever played.
I remember it had the Stormtrooper on the front of the box. Surely.
I remember
when you ride the motorcycle is one of the best levels.
Hold on, motorcycle or
it's not a motorcycle, but it's like a hover bike.
The thing through the forest.
In Indoor
It's one of the best boards in any fucking game.
So, best Star Wars game that I played, in my opinion, is Jedi Power Battles with the first co-op game where you play as the lightsabers, and then after that, it was Star Wars KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic.
Dude, I don't remember either of those.
So let's keep going.
The Knights of the Old Republic, was that Xbox original Xbox game?
So KOTOR was PlayStation 2. Knights of the Old Republic
was Xbox. Original Xbox,
Jedi
right?
Power Battles, side-scrolling lightsaber game, PlayStation 1.
PlayStation
42.
1, okay.
Secret of Mana.
Yes.
Incredible.
It looks like.
Here's what's crazy about that game, Levi. I've never heard of it.
Hey,
I've never heard of that game.
Looking at the game, it is straight up
I've already
Zelda or Pokemon.
It is.
I've already showed the
gameplay.
YouTube video on the camera. I've showed it.
The cool thing about Secret Mana
It looks like Pokemon.
is
Look at
a
that.
third
Bottom
is
left
a
of the right page.
third.
Dude, Shadows of the Empire, now that I see it, dude. PlayStation 1.
Incredible
Yeah.
game.
100%.
Shadow of Mana
Yeah, let me see it.
or Secret of
Hold
Mana
on, I
was a
gotta see it.
third-person co-op game.
Oh, I see it.
Where you can build your
Pokemon
weapons.
style. It looks like
Right.
Pokemon,
Looks like Pokemon.
/ Zelda style.
It's
is what
not.
it
It's
looks
not
like.
Pokemon because it's not a turn-based RPG, but it's where basically it's a live-action RPG.
So is it similar to
So
A Link to
basically-
the Past, sort of?
So-
Item rings, real-time fights,
Yes,
exploration.
just like Link to the Past, but co-op. So you can.
Gotcha.
It's live-action RPG where basically you can fight. So it's not like you're waiting. They take their turn, you take your turn, back and forth.
Playing at the same time.
It's just you fight and you're.
Which one of the best games ever
Then
no one
it's,
knows about is Episode 3. Star Wars Episode 3 was 2
Revenge
was
of the
Attack
Sith?
of the Clones. Revenge of the Sith came out with the game at the PlayStation 2, which
That
was
game
dual
is
player.
that movie is rewatchable more than any other.
It
Star
is
Wars
very
song.
reach.
Is that the one with the where he
Where
turns?
Obi-Wan takes over and is
It has
basically
become
the
a
main
cult
fucking
classic.
character.
That movie has become a
We're
cult
talking about
classic.
the one where he
It has
Cuts his legs off.
Who's the
Anakin's
bad
legs
guy?
Yes.
off on.
great fucking movie.
Grievous
That
is
has
the bad
become a
guy.
cult classic,
Now,
man.
I would say with Grievous in that fight scene, and then the very end between Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker, where he
On the
turns into
lava
fucking Darth Vader.
planet, whatever it is.
Best fucking movie. The one,
You're
the second,
damn right about
the
that.
The second one with
Movie in the Star Wars niche because it's in our Twitter a little bit. That movie is moving towards the best Star Wars movie.
I don't talk about that. Please don't say that around me ever again because it won't ever come close to Empire Strikes Back. But because that's the best second movie of all time ever
Empire Strikes
created.
Back was so. In hindsight, like when you always did that list, Empire Strikes Back was my number one. So I
Yeah,
agreed
same.
100%. The second one, Return of the Jedi, or whatever it was.
That was the third one. So I
that-
think I had that as number 2.
That was the second. Force Awakens was third, and then
Which I love. That's great that you had that at
Revenge of
3.
the Sith was my fourth.
Revenge of
when
the
I went
Sith
through
has
it.
become a cult classic. Like the age group that didn't get to see it in theaters, like I did. I was a junior in high school when I saw it in theaters.
Right.
I remember we played soccer with a guy named Max Farmer. I don't know why I remember,
remember
but him
Farmer.
and his dad were at the movie theater when I went and saw Episode 3 in the same showing I was at Rivergate 8 before I worked there. Crazy that I remember that, but I agree with you that is probably top. I think I had it top 5 anyways, didn't I?
Right, you
I
did.
think I did.
You did.
I'll have it on here.
To me, it's so rewatchable.
It is so good, man. Like
Dude,
that last scene.
That last scene is great.
You
man.
do laugh.
The part where he's
I'm
on
sorry,
the
when he's
lizard.
like, I hate you.
I've said this
Like,
many
that part
times
makes
on
me
our
laugh every
podcast.
time, bro.
I love parts in movies that could end up being rides.
Right.
And when he's on that
Lizard chasing
animal, I
Grievous.
could picture.
That's
a
when he fights
ride.
Grievous. What is that planet they're on? That is one of the best. He says, what is the famous Obi-Wan Kenobi song? He goes, General Kenobi, which is what he says.
Right.
I wish I could remember what Kenobi's response
Hey,
was.
also during that time when all those movies come
But
out,
here we go. I got it right here.
McDonald's had a game. It was like Monopoly, but it was Star Wars, and you had to collect.
See, I don't remember that.
No, Taco Bell had it too.
Taco Bell is what I'm thinking of. Not
Taco
McDonald's,
Bell was
sorry,
at the
Taco
game. I
Bell.
do remember
Dude,
that.
when those games were
TK
coming
days.
out, it was fucking.
So I had Empire Strikes Back
crazy was
1.
you had the characters before you even saw the movie. So I was like, who's this fucking Palpatine motherfucker? And
Here's
then I
the
was
deal.
like,
And now he's huge in the whole grand
He
scheme.
just said he had Force Awakens as number 3. Exact same as I had. I have my list right here from the time we did it. I had Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Force Awakens number 3.
Force Awakens is almost like
And
I
the
said
only
before,
reason I have a
3
New Hope as
generations.
number 4 is because of the groundbreaking CG they used in that
Right.
movie.
Force Awakens was one of the greatest releases
But I have
in the theater
Revenge
of
of
all
the Sith
fucking
as
time.
fourth.
Right.
As far as getting a ticket for Force Awakens was one
They
of the
sold
hardest
that shit.
tickets
I went on
to
midnight.
get to see the first viewing. It was
I-
one of the
I-
hardest tickets to get.
Hey,
People were there dressed up. It was like fucking Comic-Con.
It's funny. I shit on TJ a little bit, and on one of our episodes, I can't remember what it was. But anyways, me, Chad, and TJ went to go see that episode in person, opening weekend that Saturday, because I didn't know what was gonna happen. Little do we know. Spoiler alert for anybody who's watching: Han Solo dies.
Yes. If you hadn't seen The Force Awakens,
and we came
pull your
out of
head
that.
out of your
We're
fucking-
not watching this.
We came out. We came out of that movie watching it, and TJ was like, me and Chad were sitting there talking. We're like, man, I can't believe fucking Han Solo died or whatever. And he's just like, oh shit, man, Han Solo died. And, and I was like, motherfucker, you fell asleep there?
Dude, I've talked about
I was
that
dying,
movie
man.
many times, and I've talked about the
I love
sequel
Force Awakens,
trilogy.
man. My son's
and
watched
being
it many
honest,
times.
I want to go back and watch them again because I truly believe, and this goes back to the rewatchable saying Castaway is 2 words. To me, the rise of Skywalker, the whole story is actually about Kylo Ren and him going light, dark, light. And it is the rise of him.
Kylo?
It is the
Yeah,
rise
I
of
agree.
Kylo becoming
He is the main character.
light again.
I agree with
because
that.
he becomes one with the Force, and normally, you know, the dark side, the Sith does not do that. It was his full cycle of the Skywalker becoming good, evil, good, and balance finally was achieved.
And the reason
again.
she said, and
it
the
is
reason she
Kylo
says,
Ren, not Rey.
correct.
It is Kylo Ren, not Rey.
And the
who is
reason
the Skywalker?
well, the
she
reason
says she's a Skywalker, but Kylo Ren is a legitimate by blood Skywalker.
That's why she, and in my opinion, that's why she says
She married him.
when she goes back to when she goes back to the dunes, Tatooine at the end of Rise of Skywalker, the woman asks her like, "Who are you from?" And she says Skywalker. I truly believe you're right about that. She says that because she felt one with Kylo Ren at the end of that movie.
Right.
And you're dead right about that. I feel like the movie is more about Kylo Ren than it is about
And
Rey.
if you look at it in that scope, it's actually pretty fucking good because his story.
I hated Rise of Skywalker, though,
His
still.
arc
I
is
did, yeah,
fucking
I'm with you.
complete. His arc is complete. Kylo Ren's arc is complete. Rey's arc makes you think she's gonna have a series or something continuing.
Right.
Where Kylo Ren's arc, the Skywalker arc,
Right.
ends with Kylo Ren, but she claims because, like you said, she's one with him. So I really want to go back and watch all 3 movies with the scope that Kylo Ren is the main character.
I think he is.
Not Rey.
I think he is the main,
And that's just
high
something that I
point-
thought about.
The high
Right.
point of, and you nailed it on the head right here. The high point of the Force Awakens is Kylo Ren stabbing Han Solo in the sternum.
Yes.
He's
That's what
dark
I
now.
believe.
He's dark.
That's what I believe is
Until
the high
all the
point
way
of
to
that.
the very,
And
very
then, don't get me
end.
wrong, the scene in the woods is incredible as far
Oh,
as
dude, that
visually.
fight scene was great.
But like the highlight of the high point of that movie was him stabbing Han Solo before the fight scene in the woods.
100%.
In my opinion, I don't know.
100%.
how other
That's
people
what
feel about
turned
that,
him to
but-
the complete dark side, and then eventually in the Rise of Skywalker, when he dies, he is the light again. Light,
Right.
dark, light. It is the Rise of Skywalker back to the balancing, which is what the whole shit
Right,
is
the
about.
whole thing about
So I really
balance.
want to rewatch it. But anyways, we'll keep going with the games real quick. 43, Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior.
We've talked about it.
44, Adventures of Lolo, never heard.
Never
45, Dr. Mario. Y'all brought
The
that up in
original
y'all's podcast.
fucking Tetris.
Dr. Mario is Game Boy, December 1990.
So those were the
But it's
pills.
not Tetris.
It's not as different.
You know
It's
why
sorta
it's not
similar,
Tetris?
though. It's
Because the
it's
pieces
colored.
aren't four.
They're
It's-
two.
It looks like
Hey,
they're two.
Yeah, they were.
You
They
wanna
were
know what it
pills.
is?
They were pills instead of Tetris being four.
Let's look it up. Hold on. So Dr. Mario came out in December of 1990, and Tetris came out Game Boy 1989.
So Tetris was actually before Dr. Mario.
So Dr. Mario is actually the precursor to Bejeweled / Candy Crush. Is really what.
Exactly. You're dead right. Yes. Exact same game. That's why people got hooked so easily. My mom was addicted. She was the only person I ever saw on Game Boy that could play Tetris long enough to get the rocket ship to take off at the end of it, which means you beat the game.
The best person I ever saw in a game was my mom at Galaga. Incredible at the game. 46 is Contra 3. I played regular Contra.
The original Contra, one of the hardest games of all time.
Incredible game.
Hard as fuck.
Super Mario Bros. 2, Shadowrun, Ninja Gaiden. Did you
so let me say this. Let me
the Xbox version, but not the.
I've got to
The Xbox version was the beginning of the game you said you completed. It's almost the beginning of Assassin's Creed.
Right.
Same type.
So I think the Wizard was actually Super Mario 2. I may be wrong about that. Is it Super Mario 3? Super Mario 2 was played in the original Three Ninjas game.
I'm basing that off of the knowledge of their podcast, so I'm blaming Chad.
Yeah.
That Super Mario 3 is in the Wizard at the end.
That's probably right.
Tetris Sphere was a game I actually played. 51 is a game called Golf on Game Boy. Never played it, but I love golf. 52 was regular Contra. 53, Mortal Kombat 2, where Baraka and
that was the one with
Super Mario Brothers 3.
So on the first one you have Goro, second one you had Kataro, and then third one you have Mintaro, which was the half horse.
I'm glad you remember that because I had no fucking idea.
And then you had Shiva, which was the female version of Goro, which was on Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
I love both those movies, though, to be honest. And the new Mortal Kombat, I would.
Annihilation, you loved also. It's like a 2. Annihilation was a 1% on Rotten Tomatoes. You like Mortal Kombat Annihilation?
Yeah,
I like Annihilation. I don't like it, but I watched it.
They did Bestiality. I was like, oh shit.
All right, well that part's cool as shit. But as far as the other movie,
they bring the trilogy characters in to the Annihilation because you have Rain technically, you have Ermac.
Smoke is in that one too.
Shiva's in that movie. Khan, who is the ultimate bad guy. Shao Kahn is ultimately in that game. We broke it down on another thing that how the characters increase from Mortal Kombat 1 was only 12 to like 20. In Mortal Kombat Trilogy, has like 20.
So the original Mortal Kombat movie had the original characters from the original game.
It's a great fucking movie. The first one is awesome. Movie is rewatchable.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
But we talk about it's almost like a back screen green screen. Like it's not very good.
Yeah, because even Scorpion hitting the tree with
what are we at? Like 4 hours?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. 54, Killer Instinct Gold, never played it. Bionic Commando, Castlevania 4.
Killer Instinct was great. Saberwolf and Cinder were the best characters to play on that game.
I'm glad you remember this shit because I've never heard of it.
I'm going to go through these, but some of these I've never heard. ActRaiser, never heard of it. It's a side-to-side game or a side-scroll. Mega Man X was the Mega Man I actually played. It was Super NES. Crystalis, never played it. Earthbound.
Yep.
Maniac Mansion, Blast Corps. Dude, I played Blast Corps and I actually have Blast Corps Nintendo Power over here. And
never heard of it.
The reason I had Blast Corps, I rented the game. It was kind of like
from Movie Gallery in White House, probably.
Yeah, before Transformers became Transformers. And the only reason I bought this Nintendo Power was because I knew this guy right here was a dude.
Right. Yeah.
But let's keep going because I never heard of it. Maniac Mansion, Blast Corps, Blaster Master, Star Tropics, Earthworm Jim 2, Final Fantasy Adventure. For Game Boy. And remember, we've talked about Donkey Kong Country. For Game Boy, it was called Donkey Kong Land.
Land.
For which game system?
For Game Boy.
So Wayne Gretzky 3D Hockey is from the movie called Swingers, which was one of the first movies that Vince Vaughn was in, and also the guy from Office Space, the main character from Office Space.
I have Wayne Gretzky.
It's called Swingers, but they play that game throughout the entire movie.
It was so...
it's the first game with fighting in it, I remember.
Yeah, but you also could like turn into a brick wall as the goalie, so it was very not real sports. It was very
video game sports,
arcade game,
arcade style. Yeah.
Okay. 69 was Zombies Ate My Neighbors. 69, I gotta bring up because it's Double Dragon.
Yep.
Which is a good game, good movie, but we always the Double Dragon.
Good movie or a movie you remember?
A movie that I like.
Yeah, I always
bad
thought of
movie
good movie because what was the Rotten Tomatoes?
Billy had super strength, and then I think it was Jason had the shadow power where he could jump into people and control.
That's incredible
things,
if you remember that.
71.
Well, I was telling him while you left the bathroom about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was the bad guy zombie that they
Was
fought.
he in
Double
Double
Dragon?
Dragon? See, he was.
Yes.
See, I almost put up the Bruce Lee Game of Death poster up, is what I almost put up tonight, which had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the final.
Super Mario
Person.
Land 3. It was for Game Boy.
Yeah,
Killer Instinct.
Cinder and Saberwolf were the best two. And Skeletor was actually pretty good.
And Killer Instinct.
Yeah.
I guess it's like a fighting game.
It is. It's very much like Mortal Kombat.
Shadowgate, RC Pro-Am Racing, Super Goals and Ghosts, Gradius 3, NBA Live 95, TMNT 4, Turtles in Time.
I remember it.
remember
I
that.
had that on Game Boy. Was that a Game Boy game?
Super NES.
I had it on Game Boy.
Rescue Rangers, The Magical Quest star
Played
Mickey
it
Mouse. We
non-
talked about that
Played it
game.
non-stop. Me and my
right.
brother fucking loved that game. I wore the Chippendale shirt 2 or 3 times ago.
Chippendale Rescue
The-
Rangers.
the
Now,
board
now,
I remember
I will
the
give you.
most.
I will give you major props if you can remember the two characters. You had the kind of fat
The
guy.
heavyset dude that was a Chase. He was addicted
On-
to cheese,
no.
and the woman
No.
was the pilot.
You're wrong. You're wrong about
Female?
his name. About the guy. His name was Monty.
Monty was the guy, but he was addicted to cheese.
Cheese.
On what
He's
game?
made it after Monterey.
Jack, I'd never thought of who was the female. She was the pilot.
Pilot. I can't remember.
God,
What
I'll tell you
game?
right
Her
now.
name.
The Chippendale
Chippendales,
show.
the Rescue Rangers.
But she was also on the game.
So
I'll
the
tell you
I
that.
Magical
saw it.
Quest.
I saw your shirt and I was like, "That's a fucking cool shirt."
Yeah.
The level I remember on Magical Quest, the level they have is like a guy with wings and you had to jump on his head. But the game I remember is the leaves are flying and you have to jump from leaf to
Gadget
leaf.
was the
Yeah.
female, by the
Try
way.
to survive.
Gadget.
Gadget, yeah.
Yeah, but in Mickey Mouse you have to jump from leaf to leaf to leaf.
That
He was
Mickey
a
Mouse game
magician
was
in that
hard.
game.
Yeah.
He was a magician in that game.
Yeah,
I
it was a
remember
good-ass
it. Movie
fucking-
Gallery, where I
Played
rented it from.
I think I rented it many times. Faceball, never heard of it. Breath of Fire, Dragon Warrior 4, and believe it or not, Metal Gear was the
What number?
game for NES.
The first one, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The very
Never-
first Metal Gear?
Metal-
I gotta
So
look
it
it
was
up.
Metal Gear, then became Metal Gear Solid.
They're calling it an overhead perspective action adventure.
It's kind of like Grand Theft Auto.
So it was like a third-person type game?
No,
Yeah.
you're running around though,
top-
so it's
top
like
down.
top view, top down, like the old
Grand
version of
Theft
Final
Auto.
Fantasies.
Here it is right here. After Gray Foxhound's best agent goes missing, rookie Solid Snake is sent to the South African fortress Outer Heaven to rescue him. Hold on, where am I at? To rescue him from terrorists armed with nuclear-equipped bipedal tank.
85 is Illusion of Gaia.
Never heard of it.
Blackthorn is 86.
Never heard of it.
87 is Goonies 2.
So that was the only Goonies game that ever came out, and it was called Goonies 2. My dad actually
I don't remember
owns
that
it right now.
He does?
Has the game at his house. Terrible fucking game.
Baseball Stars. Unbelievable. Corbin plays Baseball Stars on his phone. Or his little iPod that he
So
has.
it's come that long.
Yes. NES.
What year did that say it came out?
1989.
Wow, 2020.
Battle
85 or 89 is Battletoads.
Great fucking game.
And we always remember Double Dragon and Battletoads.
The
mixed
only
together.
level I remember from Battletoads is like an elevator scene where like the whole level is moving downwards, like you're on this elevator, and enemies
It
continue
says
to
they
drop onto the
devoted
screen.
an unprecedented 35 pages to it in a Nintendo Power.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. 90 is Demon's Crest. Never heard of it. 91, Lufia and the Fortress of Doom. There are so many games that play like
Lufia and
Pokemon.
the Fortress of Doom.
92 is Ogre Battle. 93 is Gargoyle's Quest. That reminds me when
Gargoyles.
The show
the
Gargoyles?
the show. So this must be Gargoyle's Quest
What
on
year?
Game Boy. 1990 RPG
Yeah,
style.
it's the same time frame.
What's the name of it?
Gargoyle's Quest. And
It's
I
gotta
remember
be.
that show Gargoyles. I watched the fuck out of it when I came home from school in elementary school.
Was
I'm
that
pretty
was
sure.
that a Disney Channel show? I feel maybe
I
not.
believe
It's on
so.
Disney Plus.
Y'all
And the
remember-
Gargoyles came alive.
Y'all
from-
remember the show where it's like half man, half shark guys?
Oh, it was called. Oh, dude, I'll tell you right now. Sewer Sharks.
Sewer Sharks.
I think was the name of the show. The
Yes.
only reason I remember that is because a kid in second
action
grade had
figure is fucking great.
the costume to wear. Remember when kids used to wear Halloween costumes to school on Halloween?
Right.
I remember a kid wearing the Sewer Shark costume. At the same time period, there was a show called Biker Mice from Mars. and it came out at the same time as Sewer Sharks. But I do remember that. So Gargoyles Quest was Game Boy, and it was not based on the TV show at all. Look at that.
Wow.
That is not the TV show
No,
we watched.
it's not. 94 is True Golf Classics, Pebble Beach. It looks like Golden Tee almost, is what it looks
Probably.
like from here. Kickle Cubicle. Never heard of it. 98 is another phone game, Bust a Move.
Must move.
That's
yeah.
a phone
It's
game?
where you shoot the ball of the same color out.
What's that called now?
Bust a Move.
Well, it's
Bust
sort
a
of like
Move,
Candy
yeah.
Crush.
It's not Candy Crush, but it's like that, and you shoot the colored balls, and you try to get the
So it
colors
was
the
like
same.
almost like Brick Breaker.
Like Brick Breaker. Oh, Brick Breaker was a badass game for
Yeah.
PC. Back then, I used to play in Miss Norman's room.
Right. Even on our calculators that we had, the TI-83 classic style, it wasn't
Dude,
Snake.
Oh, I
Snake.
see
I
it right
used to
here.
play
Bust
Snake.
a Move Universe. I remember it.
Fall Down. Yes,
Yeah.
we used to have all those computer games.
Great
Remember
games.
when Brian Benson made all
Dude.
kinds of like
Dude,
mathematical
so much
fucking computer
games.
shit?
Yeah.
Brian Benson, friend on
Fucking
Facebook.
man.
Smart motherfucker, dude. 97, Final Fight. Looks like they're in a ring.
So Final
Look
Fight.
at this crowd in Final Fight.
Final Fight.
Where's
is
it at?
just,
97.
Final Fight's just like Double Dragon.
It's
just
very
like,
similar to Street Fighter.
Yeah, Street Fighter, except you're side-scrolling co-op, just fighting fucking people.
98 is Super Tennis. One of the best
Remember it.
games was Mario Tennis. I don't know if you ever played
Oh,
it.
I
dude,
played it on Game
64,
Boy for sure.
great
See,
fucking
I was a
game.
Game Boy player of Mario Tennis.
99 is Ultima Quest of the Avatar.
No,
I don't
remember.
remember that one.
It's an NES game. 100 is Alien 3. So that was 100 games we ran through. We drank almost that whole thing.
I don't know what time it is, but we have got below the label of the Buffalo. Well,
I don't think that's chugging range. is
no,
it?
it's not. I'm not going to ask
I'll be-
Levi
I'll
to
be so
chug.
fucked
I'm
if I
not going to
get it.
ask Levi to chug this, but we've gotten mostly through the Buffalo Trace. We've talked about a lot of random shit.
Dude, we are at, believe it or not, Levi, 4 hours and 45 minutes.
Holy
We're almost at
shit.
5 hours.
Yeah,
this is
and-
going to be a two-parter.
Two-parter, that's okay.
Welcome
Levi.
to
No,
part
it's totally
two.
fine. Totally fine.
What we want to do part 2 is when we start the video games, maybe at like
Probably.
2.5
That's probably the best
hours
thing
or
Right,
to
something.
do.
right, right.
It's been a great time. I'm glad you came.
I'm glad to
Before
have
we
it.
wrap it
Glad
up,
to
though,
be on.
can we dive back into one of the original things and let's go into, because you already said your daughter plays video games, which we do with some of our
Yes.
boys.
Okay.
Yes.
But we
Yeah.
have, because you were saying earlier, like what to do. Like you have daddy-daughter dates.
Right.
It sounds like me. I just went to Corbin's baseball game.
Right.
And I coach it. So that is almost like a one-on-one time. This game is
So when you
all
say
about
daddy-daughter
you.
date, y'all like go out to eat?
We're
and-
not to eat and just
Movies?
one. Just go see a movie, go eat dinner together, and the whole 9 yards.
So
Now,
what is your range again?
Now,
9 and 10
nine-
months. See, I have
nine-
the 9
nine-
and almost 2.
9, 5, and 10 months.
So what is? I just don't know. Your little brother is 4.5 years. You and your brother are really close. I don't know
21
that
months.
dynamic from 9 years old
So
to
me-
a baby.
So
Like,
me and Steven actually co-managed a soccer team the first year that Zoe got in soccer, which is my oldest at 9.
that's the one that's in Mason's Road, Zoe.
Right.
Yeah. And doesn't she look just like your wife?
No, she's somewhere in between. Somewhere in between.
Somewhere in between.
There's
so,
no
so
social
a
media
daddy,
to
so
know,
a daddy
so.
daughter day. So to me, we watch Star Wars and we have sports because you know what I'm saying. Corbin's game, that is his time. Liam's game is his time. You don't necessarily have those sports to go
Right.
to. So like, what do you do to make your daddy
Daughter
date is probably a little bit different.
Something they're going to remember when they're 25,
the
26 years
the
old.
very first thing I did with my oldest was we went and saw Cinderella live action Disney
Yep.
movie together.
Okay.
And then we went to Texas Roadhouse and then came back to the house and
One of
just
the
kinda
best
chilled.
restaurants around here, by
Oh,
the way.
dude, by far.
Dude, their green
For
beans are
steak.
off the chain.
Oh,
steak
fuck
is
it. And there's so much
off the
fucking
chain.
bacon flavor in
Dude, their
fucking
green beans are the best
Great.
green beans around.
Great.
I don't eat green food.
Yeah.
But that's what we did with her. I've been to a couple. We went to. You guys don't know this for sure. Is a place called Giggles and Glam.
See,
Oh my
here's the
God.
weird thing. I do know it because my brother's in-laws owned it for about a year time period where the original owner decided to sell it. They bought it for about a year, and then the original owner was like, "Hey, I want to own this again." And then they bought it back, and the Corona hit, so they
Right.
sold it. But I knew the owners for about a year of Giggles and Glam. I know exactly what
So
it is.
it's like a manicure, pedicure, haircut / place for girls and
Yes.
boys, but mainly
over there in the
girls.
streets.
So are they into? So like your oldest daughter, you said she played video games. So
Yeah,
what is
so-
the girly things that she's
so-
into?
so-
that you have to not suffer through, but you might like it.
So I will say for my oldest, She's into all the nerdy shit that I'm into for the most part.
You said your wife played video games.
She does.
Mainly the cooking game, right?
Not tons. So she played the cooking game. Actually, the game she just beat. She beat Assassin's Creed Odyssey. She like murdering some fools to relieve some stress. So she's
Is
doing
Odyssey
great
the
at that.
one on the pirate ships?
That's the one where it's Greek mythology. You kill
Yes,
Medusa.
okay,
You
I know
kill all
it.
these
I
other
know
ones.
it, yep.
That's the most recent one. The next one's coming out. It's Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is a Viking-based
that's the newest.
Norse mythology
Yes.
style one. So she'll get on that one once it comes out. But she's been doing the Greek one for a while, and she's actually doing a new game plus right now, where she has all her weapons going and starting a new game. But my oldest daughter, she has played. So she's beat several games. So she beat a game called Octodad. She beat Minecraft playing through survival mode, however you do that.
Yeah,
beat
I'm
the
not sure about
Minecraft, beat the Minecraft story mode. She also played through. I had her play on the PC both Portal 1 and Portal 2. She played through both those games.
Is she a princess girl? She like Disney princesses, or?
She does, but she's not a princess. She's very sassy, is what I would describe her as.
Okay.
Honestly, from a learning style and talking to her and stuff like that, or whatever, she's very. She has what I would say partially photographic memory. She learns very, very easily and is very smart for her age. Probably more of a smart ass than she needs to be at her age.
Dude, I've done learned. They told me 7 was bad, but 9 they know it fucking all, man.
Yeah,
boy,
dude.
girl, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter. They
dude.
know it all. You got
Dude.
Cannon already knows it all. So when he turns 9,
Yeah, and my
he's
son's
gonna know
4.
every fucking bit of it.
So my son has grown up around Mason, Tyler's oldest, who is just turned 9 or about to turn 9?
He turns 10 in December.
About to turn 10.
Yeah.
And then Corbin, who is 2 years older than my son, he's grown up around them, like, pretty close. But just in general, like, I'm not going to say I started him watching stuff that he shouldn't be watching, but, like, he was watching The Force Awakens literally at, like, 2.5, 3 years old.
Right.
To the point where he was asking for Star Wars. He
He
wanted
knows
to
him.
watch it. He is intelligent for his age. And memory-wise, like, going to be better than I was, I think, as far as movies go. Because I'll get on my Apple Music and put in
Cannon,
John.
that's what I'm saying. Like Cannon, and I want you to continue this, but like Cannon definitely has the gene of you and your dad in movies and all that.
Correct.
And I know we play baseball night and he loves that tonight, but he loves movies. I can't get my son's. Cannon would be more so than even a 9-year-old. He will sit
Right.
and watch them.
He'll watch an entire
He's
film.
the one that even said afterwards, the Miles Morales Spider-Man,
Yeah.
that one, Spider-Verse or whatever.
Dude, so
he was
great.
like, Dad,
It's
what do you
so
say?
good.
What do you say, Dad?
Such
That
a
was
great
a good movie.
He literally
It's such
he
a
wanted to
fucking
watch it
movie.
after we watched it the first time. He immediately wanted to watch it again.
Great
like
fucking movie.
immediately wanted to watch. And I agree, that's one of the best Star Wars movie or Star Wars
Spider-Man movies.
Spider-Man movies ever made.
So wrapping
One
this
of the
up,
best.
you're a PC man now.
Right.
So are you not going to go with the PS5 or the Xbox or are you
no,
going
so-
PC?
so-
like,
so-
will you tell us a little bit, just
'Cause I don't know
quick,
anything
wrapping it
about
up,
PC.
Like your drive, what is it?
So
What-
talking to Chad. Chad was the first one to jump on the page. He probably spent 2-3 grand on his PC.
is it an Alienware PC he has?
No,
like, is
so,
that the best?
built
or
it from
not?
scratch. I built mine from scratch. Totally different manufacturer for various different parts. Actually, the graphics card that I got is from Chad. It's an older one that he had, and it's still fucking top notch. I
Yeah,
mean,
here, I know what
I
you're
mean, it's
saying.
4K already without
So
everything.
do you have it on a TV screen?
I know. So I have mine on a LG
Monitor.
curved monitor. It's the graphics are fucking phenomenal.
So do you play with a keyboard and a mouse or?
No, PlayStation 4 controller on
Okay.
a PC. There are certain games I've tried to play PC Masterclass. So one thing, if you play FPS shooter, you literally click, and where you click is where you shoot. So
Which sounds super cheaty.
If you can get to a point where you're talented enough on a PC to play a first person shooter, man, it is fucking game changer. Like you.
So
can
like,
fucking
hey,
make
this
it.
goes into, and people don't understand
click,
this. People that play
boom.
video games understand this, but I learned this from the Rogue Turtle. The sensitivity and all
Oh,
of that on a
dude.
PC.
I learned this from
higher
Taylor
quality.
on Twitch.
Yes,
yeah.
Taylor's a much better.
So
I mean,
even-
Taylor and Cody are probably comparable as far as overall skill. But the thing
Well,
about
Cody
Taylor,
was ahead of the curve.
Taylor though plays all the games.
Taylor Wood.
Yeah, Cody
plays all
was
of
more
the
of a
games.
first-person shooter.
He
at
was
the
a
time. He was the
Halo
best.
specialist.
But Taylor
Yeah.
is
Plays
an
a lot of different
all-game specialist.
He plays a lot of
Right.
different shit, and he's good at whatever he picks up.
And man, I don't want to cut this off. I'll continue forever. Like I'll go over 5 hours just because
We probably should, though. We're pretty close.
But man, if we want to wrap it up, we can have you on here again. But I definitely think we have 2 parts. But is there anything you want to just shout out and go again with the Whiskey Bros before we sign off? Because Kyle's yawning.
For sure. So,
I've yawned like 10 times, but it's all good.
Next episode for the Whiskey Bros podcast, we're on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, whatever you want.
And you have Twitter and all that,
YouTube,
because
Twitter,
we've been
the
calling them out.
Instagram.
I shared their Twitter today.
Now, I will say this or whatever. Like we've done our last episode. I've kind of put it out to the boys or whatever. I want to have you guys on the next episode. I think it's a good cross promotion. Local boys, super
Great.
And we're
White
ready.
House and
I mean,
stuff
we're
like that.
ready, I think, to do our intermediate friends. We have almost 11 episodes. Y'all have like 24.
It'd be 25,
maybe?
25 for the next episode. And I think to ring in the 25, I'd love to have you guys on there.
That would be awesome.
I think it'd be good.
And if we can time it up like this to come out part 1, part 2,
right.
and then we're on the Whiskey Bros.
Well, here's where it could be perfect. Is we've recorded enough. Me and Tyler, we've been on top of it since they got back from vacation. We have enough where we could post this one next weekend,
Part
and then
2.
the following weekend, y'all record
2.
live. Hopefully, we can be with y'all. Even if Chad's not going to be there, that'd be awesome. Even though Chad is like the part. I'm not saying like y'all are great.
Yeah.
I told Tyler, I
He's
said,
so dry, man.
Well, I asked
Yeah.
Tyler. I said, should I start this podcast like? Welcome back to the to the Dabbling Dads podcast.
Right.
Just like, dude, you do it perfect.
Right,
you got the
right.
perfect fucking voice for it.
Right.
But I almost started this podcast like that. I almost started laughing at the beginning of ours because I was going to do it, but I didn't.
Right.
But like, even if Chad's not there, we would love to do it with y'all whenever we possibly
For sure,
can.
for
2
sure.
Fridays from now, baseball's going to be over, so that might work out
Or it might be the
perfect.
tournament, but I know y'all start at a certain time, but we'll...
What do y'all do? Y'all do live. Y'all just start at 6 p.m. or 7?
6:30,
It is 6.
and we roll till
Around
9:30. Typically 3
Yeah.
hours.
So even if it was a situation where Kyle came, because I don't know my baseball schedule, and I came a little late, would that be an option?
It would 100% work
It'd
because
be an
these guys
option,
get up
but
and
to be
piss and
honest,
stuff all the
We
time.
work with you 100%. We try to have you on for the entire episode.
Because to be honest, I think there's a lot of people our age in our environment that don't know about your podcast that we're
Right.
friends with, and that we're friends with that don't know about ours.
Right.
So like a cross post and leading up to it,
It can help
we
both
can
of
really
our
push
podcasts.
it
Build
correctly.
audience. Absolutely.
Because man, like you said, like I've been going back and listening to some of y'all's, and it's just fun to listen to. It's basically it's not the same, but it's a lot of the same niche.
Similar.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Similar.
I mean, like you said, like you guys are the dabbling dads, dabbling in different subjects. We dabble in a ton of some fucking
And
shit.
some people,
Way-
I saw a
way
post on Twitter
different
the other day. It was
subjects,
like,
these guys.
please stop hating when the hosts of podcasts go off on tangents. Our whole podcast is tangents.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all have like the whiskey theme, and I'm so glad you brought whiskey today. Like I've been thinking about what whiskey I would like to just bring for y'all to try and food.
We will have
So,
something we
man.
bring.
So we did the food
I
challenge.
will throw up doing food. Let me just say that right now.
The food challenge was a whole new thing, and
The
that's
quail egg looks.
But you don't
I
eat
want to
anything.
try the quail
I'll eat
egg though.
everything.
I want to
But-
try the
so-
jalapeno
so-
quail
so
quail
You
egg.
love the crickets, huh?
The crickets was not bad. Honestly, if you've had
Corbin is
if you've
eating
had
the
a
crickets.
veggie snap
No, thank you.
type deal or,
Oh, I have,
whatever,
okay.
or veggie sticks, basically the same thing.
Okay.
Like if you can get past the legs and the antennas, like Chad couldn't get past, it's
Do
fine.
you like? Tell me what the Australian food was, right? Vegemite.
Vegemite. So
Oh, it is called Vegemite. Thank God I know that. I couldn't remember.
So there's Vegemite and there's Marmite.
Marmite
They're both
was
the
the
same
other
thing.
one.
One's New Zealand, one's New.
Looks terrible. I
Australia.
would never try
So
it.
it's a yeast extract paste or whatever. It is basically
Never try it.
soy sauce jelly.
That's
is
sort of how
basically
you
Hey, I had
described
a
it when you made
professor
it.
in college
But it
one
smelled
time,
like
and he
dog food.
only ate
Oh.
food that was produced from bacteria. So kimchi,
Kombucha.
bread,
Kombucha is a
kombucha.
very,
things
very
that
popular one right
bacteria
now.
or yeast or he was my microbiology teacher, and he ate only a diet of things that came from bacteria.
That's
from-
crazy.
Dude, that's
it was
unreal.
fucking nuts, cheese, all kinds of shit. But man, at Whiskey Bros Podcast,
Yep.
Whiskey Bros.
Yeah,
We're right at
Anywhere
5
you
hours.
find
We've
it.
so-
gone. I mean,
For
we've
sure.
This will
gone
probably be
crazy.
2.5 hour podcast.
Is that all right? If I split up
Yeah,
the parts?
I love that.
Absolutely,
I love that
absolutely,
idea.
yeah.
Because then it will let me really edit it the way it needs to be edited. Because we got all kinds of references, and even if I take a picture of the top 100 stuff, I can figure out a way
Yes.
to.
I knew this was
But,
going to
yeah.
go long to begin
For
with.
sure,
yeah,
Me
for
and
sure.
Tyler both told our wives, like, hey, just be prepared. We could be in
This
here for
is
a long
we
time.
would consider this. This is like a. I told my wife I hate to say it like this, but this is we strive for. We're moving into the guest realm now, and we want our guests
Right.
to be over 100 views every time.
Right,
And so on and so forth.
100%.
So this is. I told my wife I was like, this is a real dabble. we're about to be doing.
Someone
tonight,
who's
I
been
guess.
doing podcasts for a
is
little
that-
bit.
is
Y'all
that
started
next
when? What was the year y'all started?
So
real quick?
2018, the very
How do y'all
beginning
do
of
y'all
it.
seasons?
Yeah.
Because we've talked about seasons because we don't know what it's going to look like when I go back to
we
work.
we start off and we it was like July or whatever. We did the first we did a monthly episode. We still do monthly episodes. We don't do weekly or bi-weekly or anything like that. Although in order to grow your audience, bi-weekly.
But I'll be
anyway, you guys
honest,
do it.
y'all's podcast stands apart because of your monthly, because they cover a whole month. When
It gives
they
you a lot of
talk,
time to listen to it.
Yes.
Because sometimes I think some of our dabbles get lost in the sauce. So
Right.
our true fans get to listen to those things. But like I said, this is the real, like, this is one that we want to push and everyone see. Because, I
Right.
mean, this is people we know. And that's how it begins.
But anyways,
Oh, for sure,
y'all
for
do
sure.
it monthly, and
We do it monthly, and we will be hitting another episode scheduled right now, at least for the 31st, tentatively, unless there's any hiccups along the way. But
I mean, if you're a whiskey
in the month.
fan, I mean, I almost, I didn't have the time, but, you know, I almost want to go back through and, like, y'all hit a different whiskey
every single episode,
every single time. So, I mean, that's the cool part about it. If you like dabbling in different things.
and let me be honest, guys. Their podcast is not what I would consider a whiskey podcast.
No.
Yeah,
No,
they're called
no,
the
no.
Whiskey Bros, and they open every podcast with drinking the whiskey and tasting it and talk about it. But their podcast goes everywhere, just like
Everywhere.
ours.
Absolutely.
It is a great listen. Like I suggest. If you want to know who they are, listen to episode 1. But if you're into video games and the type of stuff we talk
Number
about,
2.
if you start on episode 2 and just listen to them until they go on video, it's worth a listen. You should do
Absolutely.
that. And I'm not saying that because I know this guy and I went to high school with him back in the day,
Right.
and we have sort of a
Connections,
past/connection.
Right.
Like, I'm saying this because I enjoy listening to it. Like, these guys talk about the stuff. I was born in 1987. This is 88. This is
Right.
89. We covered that time period right there. I consider us 90s kids more than anything.
Right.
If you're into that type of stuff, Whiskey Bros nails it right on the head. They really
Yeah.
do. So,
Dude.
And we're just excited just to be some part of y'all and you
Oh,
coming.
for sure.
Like we
And
said,
same
with
with y'all,
Powerhouse, Texas,
I-
we didn't know who was coming.
yeah,
We didn't know if it was
no.
DJ or you. Or,
No, it's good to be a dabbling dad for an episode too,
Yes.
and kind of dabble with you guys and kind of dive into all the different topics or whatever, and look forward to having you guys on our podcast dive into even further topics and kind of get into a couple different things. We got a light bulb going out.
Yes.
five
That might
hours.
be
we're in
the
our
time.
garage.
there it comes
There
back. Here
back
we
on.
go.
So yeah,
We
good
really
shit.
appreciate you
Good
coming,
shit.
man.
Oh,
Yes,
I
Like,
appreciate y'all
times.
having me on for sure.
I know
Absolutely.
it's hot in here. We tried to do the Arctic
It cooled
Ice
down. They're
fan.
good.
And,
Yeah.
It was much
last
better
podcast
than-
we had the fan on, and you could only hear it when we weren't talking. We didn't have almost any dead space
We've,
tonight. or nothing,
we've
man.
also recorded an entire. You said y'all have recorded actually 30.
Yeah,
You're on
it's
25
gotta be
technically.
that.
We
25
recorded one
technically.
that literally did not work because I had the fan
Oh,
too
dude,
loud.
man,
Too loud and too
well,
close.
it's too loud, too close. We've had episodes where we got just way shit faced.
Which probably happened in this one, but I love it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Part two might be a little fuzzy, but well, part one would be hella good, but part two, for you diehards or whatever, you dive into this thing and we can hit the topics. Let's learn that speech and let's learn that good shit if you want to
Sweet.
listen to
Yeah,
it.
man.
we're
You're
there
not
for
going
it.
home with much whiskey there, Levi.
No.
Oh no,
Which is
I'll,
perfect.
I'll leave that with y'all. Y'all can have that shit.
We might leave it on our table.
It might stay on our table. That's true.
Yeah.
Regardless, we had a good time. Video games, movies,
at Whiskey
sports,
Bros,
different things.
at
Check out
Dabbling
Whiskey
Dads.
Bros.
And man, I Dabbling Dads, we appreciate everybody who's listening. We're just gonna keep growing and keep hitting record. And if you with your buddies and you're like, man, we should be talking to,
Please do.
fucking hit record,
Like,
follow us on
comment,
Twitter.
subscribe, get
That's
on
right.
that shit,
Hit
leave them
that
comments.
bell. That's
Hit that
the
bell
key.
for that
The
for that
bell.
reminder.
That's the worst part.
Yeah.
I know y'all said it a few times, like, man, I hate to pitch ourselves, but we gotta sort of pitch ourselves. At the end of the day,
Well-
you gotta pitch yourself. Like, we're doing this for fun. Like, I've
Right.
enjoyed sitting. We've sat here for 5 hours, and it's literally felt like 2 to me because I've had a good time sitting here. Theirs is the same way. Theirs might be 3+ hours, but it's worth a listen every time. You should go check it out. Like, comment, subscribe. We've had 0
Right.
comments. I don't think we've had a single comment.
Except for me,
Hey,
probably.
Maybe. And I would love
we've
our
had
first
some on
comment.
our Mandela effect, but he
That's
was the
true.
first comment. But I'm active on there, just dabbling. We'll shout you out whenever the time comes. But man, we just really appreciate you coming on here.
Oh,
dude,
absolutely,
and talking
man,
to us.
absolutely.
I don't think we
Yeah.
can talk 5 hours with
Just anybody.
anybody.
Many people.
anyways.
That's
Yeah, I
true.
got you.
So, and we might have you on again. We
Absolutely,
might build us
love
a
to.
Mount Rushmore, and you're definitely on it, man.
Sweet.
Oh, for sure.
Peace.
Love y'all. I think we're running out of video time, so
Yep.
we'll see you, dude.
Watch us next
All right, man.
1, 2, 3. Sweet.
Woo.